There are two people lying on the bed who have completely given themselves over to the night, so they are left without the strength to do anything else. The girl with beautiful scarlet hair is the first to open her eyes and sit down. She calmly turns her gaze to the man, who continues to sleep. The main character from the novel The Damned Emperor is named Friedrich Leifridge. He is the chief of the secret knights Heikren and the crown prince of the Leifridge Empire, about whom everyone knows. Virgo cannot believe that it was with this young man that she spent the night together. As she expected, the merging of bodies turned out to be enchanting. The guy said that all he needed was a woman's body, and she seemed grateful, although she knew that His Majesty's character was not sweet. The beauty cannot decide what she liked best. Perhaps you shouldn't pay attention to what happened. Just try to get everything out of your head, which is already too full. If only Derek were the young lady's type, she would probably lose her mind from such a beautiful face. It's no secret that the hero is incredibly beautiful, from his face to his body, as well as some qualities that are not the worst. If the lady found out that she would switch bodies with someone, she would be furious. This is what the young man will probably experience the next morning, because the heroine pulls her foot towards the toes of the prince lying next to him. Everything worked. The brunette sharply opens his eyes, looking around and realizing that all that remains is to complete his mission and rest. The girl knew that everything would be like this, but strange feelings still remained somewhere inside. The young man's body is filled with strength and energy that the main character lacked. She would like it to always be like this, but nothing will work out. Gossip began to spread about the choice of the crown princess, but this cannot be allowed, otherwise there will be a lot of problems. Shifting his gaze to the sleeping body next to him, Derek smiles. The girl looks incredibly wonderful. Light curls flow over her shoulders, and her eyelashes twitch easily from the dream she sees. The beauty lived in this body for 15 years, but she never got used to seeing this face. The maiden is the youngest daughter of Earl Chandler and is said to be the most beautiful in the empire. Her name is Irenea Chandler. Just 15 years ago, the girl was an ordinary student who did not have any entertainment. The woman took the body of 6-year-old Irene. It had been incredible from the very beginning, and she couldn't understand how it had been pulled off, even if she was happy with what she got. Mooing can be heard from the bed. The girl rolls over, obviously afraid, but the boy smiles, thinking that Derek should be in a deep sleep instead of what is happening. It's better not to move too actively, otherwise no one will restore Chandler's body. She is a fragile girl, so rest is really important. This is just a common concern. Leaving the room, the lady looks back one last time, telling herself that the man should understand her feelings. It's not like everything was done on a whim, since the heroine has a reason for switching bodies with the emperor and then escaping. In the novel The Cursed Prince, which sold for as much as 19 gold, the Leifridge Empire was at war against Elcian. The prince was sent as a hostage to an enemy country, and no one took pity on him. It was in that empire that some high-ranking magician cast a spell on a man and thereby made him suffer. It was not destroyed until the moment the main character appeared, with whom Frederick fell in love. Over time, the couple begins to get to know each other better and better. They have not only an emotional connection, but also a physical one, because they have to spend every night together to enjoy and quench the thirst of another person. The heroine learned in advance that the entire Chandler clan was to be exterminated by order of the crazy Chandler. She didn't know how to change anything, so in the story, she simply died along with her innocent relatives. One day, Derek noticed that something was wrong with the beauty's body. He called a doctor and asked for normal treatment, but unfortunately, Brother Cedric wanted, under the guise of treatment, to offer poisonous herbs that were supposed to destroy everything. Of course, it was not a disease, but a curse that did not recede. Treatment with a small amount of poison is also practiced. Because of what happened, Leifridge lost his mind and ordered the entire clan to be killed for treason. The family was killed in a terrible way, and the lady remembers the feeling when she stood and looked at the burning ruins of the estate, from which only legends will remain that will never become alive. Since the life of the family was at stake, the main character remembered a way to lift the curse from the emperor. The method was to give a magic potion for 15 days, which was supposed to be ready. Virgo has prepared everything, but the problem remains that the man has psychological trauma, so he cannot tolerate magic. If the lady had explained about the curse, she would have simply been killed, so there was only one option left: to take the body away against her will. Of course, doing something like this is quite risky, and it's better not to do it, but the heroine realized that she simply had no other choice. If she had taken the medicine herself, everything would have been much better. It was difficult to pull off what was originally planned, but Irene tried her best to do everything necessary. As soon as the boy grew up, the beauty began to try to seduce him, while constantly spinning around, not allowing him to pass. The girl trembled every time in front of the young man, and was a little afraid of what might happen next, but she still continued to move on. He, in turn, ignored the lady and was rude to her. If the emperor had been kind, the heroine would have felt remorse for the way she treated him, but he still remained as indifferent. This didn't change anything, so the girl decided not to focus on it. Very soon, the lady will be able to fix everything, making it much better. She understands that she will not even hear words of gratitude if she saves the young man from the curse, but this is not the most important thing, because the target was Frederick's body. The rain has passed, and finally one of the servants announces this, who comes closer and bows. The royal bird has finally arrived, which makes the young man breathe a sigh of relief. Everything was done as expected. A dark red ribbon means that someone from the royal family is in critical condition, and of course this was all done by Irene herself, who laid out her plan. There is only one person in critical condition who fits all descriptions. This is the mother of the Liefridge Empire, Queen Eliza. She is one of the main figures in the novel that the girl once read. Everything goes according to plan, but not for the man himself, who has just woken up after a hot night. He gets out of bed, not quite understanding what is happening and what is wrong, slowly walking further in front of the mirror and trying to stay on his feet. Memories from the previous day, which just ended, flash through my head like lightning. Before doing what was destined, the young man took a pill and gave the same to his girlfriend. It was better for both of them. Derek was just acting funny. He considered himself too high-ranking that he considered everyone around him inferior. Chandler herself also did not want to give birth to a child from such a person who did not care about anything. They usually say that if the remedy is good, then the result itself is not bad, and in this case everything turned out to be true, because the girl was satisfied with how it all ended. The servant quietly goes into the room to talk with the future emperor. Earl Chandler's daughter is still sleeping, and this is announced almost immediately so that everything is known. This is the job of those who live in the castle. The man asks what happened, to which the servant politely says that he conveyed his wishes to the maids. Most likely, Derek would respond just as coldly, because that's who he is. There are no exceptions. The real character had earlier asked to give something to his mistress. It was immediately clear what was supposed to be there, so the girl didn't even have to think too long. Frederick often gave gifts that other girls did not accept. He considered this normal, so he did not see anything, and the heroine pretended to be happy to receive such signs of attention, although she remained with a cold expression on her face in her heart. This time the lady is also sure that the crown prince's maids have chosen something suitable for a gift. Usually he never chose anything on his own, believing that it was above his highness. It's funny that Liefridge himself will receive the gift, because he was trapped in someone else's body. A man stands near the window, hitting the glass with his hand forcefully and trying to understand what happened. There's no way Irene switched bodies and he's now in the young lady's body. The hero falls to the floor near the window, trying to swear at the girl as much as possible for what she managed to pull off. The maids rush to help the heroine. One of them pats the beauty on the shoulders, covering her a little and saying that she knows about the fact that the prince is not the most caring person. Another maid is outraged by the fact that the guy dared to leave the girl after the night. A hero is terrible in the eyes of others. No one around even suspects that they are talking with the crown prince himself, who frowns with displeasure, not having the right to say anything because he is in Chandler's body. After a night spent, the guy woke up in bed completely alone. He examined his hands, thinking about what the girl managed to do to his body and why suddenly everything changed so dramatically. Adding to all the problems, the lady left the boy completely alone, not caring about what was happening. The hero cannot do anything in the new body, so first of all, he must try not to arouse suspicion. It's good that the maiden knows Irene well, so it became a little easier. Asking the maid to leave the room, the lady argues that she wants to be alone as long as possible. The body is very weak, which makes the hero incredibly angry. He does not understand what Irene wanted all this time, because all the time she literally adored the prince, looking at him with loving eyes. The man wanted to propose to the lady. He even prepared everything, but in the end nothing worked out. Most likely the lady's original goal was to steal an innocent body. After the incident, Derek began to look in the mirror much more often. He looked at the wonderful facial features of the girl he liked so much. When the maids asked what was wrong, he always answered by saying that nothing special had happened. No matter how much Liefridge thought, he still could not understand the purpose for which the lady followed him on his heels. At the very beginning of the relationship, she showed absolutely no respect, trying to express hostility. Then the beauty apparently changed her strategy, because she began to smile as if she understood every word that was said to her. The young man thought that the lady would accept the offer to become his wife because it was beneficial for her family. Ultimately, Irene left her lover alone with her thoughts. She portrays a real prince very naturally. The girl is smart, so she planned everything so that someone else's presence would be unnoticeable. If the lady's goal is not to gain power, then to tell the story, you need to go back a long way. In the distant past, an enemy country attacked the state, breaking into the homes of many citizens. The boy was taken hostage to ensure the safety of many people. Of course, the baby did not want to leave his country and go to the ends of the earth, but obviously there was no other choice. The one who gave the prince to the enemy empire was the imperial couple themselves. The man promised not to make any more mistakes and sent the guy very far away. They were a family, which is the most important, but after that, they themselves abandoned their son. The boy ended up with King Elson, who still wouldn't leave the young man alone. First, poison was used, then murder, kidnapping, and the rest. Almost every day, one of the servants died from the monarch's tricks. It was then that the hero realized that he had to become stronger in order to protect those who were dear to him. Derek was still very young, so he couldn't do too much, but he promised himself that he would change reality. To be strong meant to become a tool to survive and not show your true feelings, even if they burst out like crazy. After some time, Frederick teamed up with the enemies of the country in which he himself was a hostage. This gave him many advantages, and together they managed to save many people who really needed it. The man gained more strength, so he managed to awaken the legendary weapon, the dragon sword. He stood at the head of the Black Wolf army and became invincible. The one who left the empire as a hostage returned as a great hero. At a party in honor of his triumphant return, which was celebrated by the entire empire, the young man met Irene, whom everyone around admired, noticing how beautiful she was. The rose for all the elite, Lady Chandler, is what they called her in society. Many believed that the lady was worthy of the whole world just because of how she behaved and how she presented herself to the aristocracy. This girl reminded Frederick of the burning taste of wine, which chills the mind and throat. When the guy tried it for the first time, he was perplexed, because the taste was wonderful, giving off some kind of freedom. That day at the banquet, the beauty came up first to introduce herself. She knew that the prince did not need to know her name, which was already known, but she did what she had to do anyway. It was an honor for the woman to meet the sun of the empire, which shines brightly for all who need it. She behaved politely, trying not to reveal her true intentions from the very beginning. The noble face and bewitching voice completely stupefied the mind. If the beauty were new to this business, perhaps the prince would have enjoyed it. But, being the heir to the throne, the hero saw the dirty trick hiding in her eyes. The man never managed to understand what the goal was from the very beginning. He ran through their first acquaintance in his head over and over again, but was never able to build a line that would lead to a denouement. The girl is the youngest daughter of what was once the most powerful family in the empire. She has everything, money, love, and fame, because she was given everything possible from childhood. There was never a need for anything. After some time the couple met again, but after the banquet that had taken place, it began to rain, pouring down like buckets, and the lady ran closer, saying that she wanted to hide from the bad weather in the palace. Looking at the floor, the heroine asked to warm her up, because she felt the cold coming from all sides. It was then that the man realized that she wanted to become his woman, or rather, the wife of the heir to this empire, no matter how strange it may sound. That day, the young man did nothing, just walked away and grunted in irritation. From that day on, Irene began to often appear nearby, even when Derek visited his brother in the palace or when he walked in the garden, trying to check his thoughts and not do rash actions. Chandler had no sense of tact and was too stubborn for anyone to tolerate. Turning away, the man seemed to refuse to look at it every time, rejecting it. The lady kept pushing, not giving up. They found themselves in a garden with roses that looked simply wonderful. According to the girl, this has become her favorite place, which cannot be ignored. I always wanted to admire the views with the crown prince. Smiling, the red-headed woman said that she hoped that the beauty of the place would calm the tired crown prince, who was faced with too many problems from all sides at once. As expected, this man was smart. She knew that the man's whole life had been chaos since childhood, so she decided to do just that, saying things like that and putting pressure on him. With small steps, the lady moved towards her goal, which she had built. Over time, the young man decided to give her what she wanted and make her his wife. Chandler will support the future emperor and not try to get all the power into his own hands to rule. This is exactly what the guy thought all this time, who is now trapped in the body of his beloved. Turning to Eve, the man asks to send a message to the prince at the palace on behalf of Irene. No matter what, they need to talk. The maid did not immediately obey. She, like everyone else, was worried about her mistress, so she decided to first ask her to rest and only then deal with everything else and less important things that could wait. Some maids are on the verge of tears because the lady's face seems too pale and her hands are shaking. The best solution would be to rest in bed and take a bath. The body is too weak, so it is impossible to escape or even move freely. Irene thought through everything in advance, so she is sent to rest for at least a few days, which will help significantly. It turned out that the Empress was not sick. The castle received a red ribbon, which means problems in the royal family. But, as it turned out, the Queen was walking in the garden. According to the lady, the weather was great, so nothing could stop her from going there. It looks like someone decided to play with the bird, or it went to the estate on its own, despite the fact that it's simply not worth doing this like that. The prince pretended to be lost in thought, or even to not know what to do in such a situation. Fortunately, no one ever found out that it was Irene's assistant who sent that false letter. At least it's good that Her Highness is okay. Otherwise, problems would be extremely difficult to avoid. The lady managed to enter the palace, but the hardest part is just beginning. Chandler knows she has to work hard to avoid being caught by Derek's men before her treatment for the curse is complete. It's lucky that the girl knows the prince's behavior very well. She will behave naturally and will not do anything that the future emperor himself would not do. During the time nearby, it was possible to study in detail all aspects of the state and behavior. The layout of the heir's palace is also quite well known. This will come in handy to avoid looking like a lost bunny that needs help. You should lift your chin high and act even more confident. All this is because the lady has been following the man for a long time, and because her second brother, Ayn, works in this place. Of course, he too would not refuse to help to achieve the common goal, saving the skin. It would be undesirable to run into this person. Most likely, this will not happen, because Irene had arranged the day in advance so that they would not intersect, but slight doubts and even fear remain and will not go away until the mission is completed. Even when the heroine decided to exchange bodies with Derek, she was still worried. No one can predict exactly how things will go, even if every little detail has been taken into account. Derek turned out to have too much work, which will now have to be done by the heroine herself, who understood what she was getting into. A week before everything happened, the lady noticed that the crown prince was overloaded with work. He sat at his desk for hours without even lifting his head in order to get everything done on time, without delays that affected the work. Thanks to Aine, the girl understood exactly how Derek works and was able to draw a line of what should be done first. Sometimes she still worries about the real state of affairs, because there may be many pitfalls there. A banquet in honor of the emperor's birthday is coming up very soon, so there are many questions about the event that need to be sorted out. There was no better time to swap bodies. The Marquis of Cherville was the only one who felt something didn't fit. The others did not try to say anything, but this old man climbed forward, assuring that everything needed to be done differently. As it turned out, the man just wanted His Highness to rest because he noticed that he was not getting enough sleep. If the prince is overtired, the Marquis will not even dare to stand nearby so as not to interfere. A hidden smile appeared on the young man's face, which was not apparent to the others. Fortunately, the servant did not notice anything, so the joy remained inside. Irene was able to breathe a sigh of relief and agreed to rest more. Before retiring to his chambers, the young man completely cleaned up his desk so as not to be destroyed the next day and asked to get one book. Its title is The Comedy and Tragedy of Empire by Sid Dayan. If the item is not in the Imperial Library, you will even have to go to the market. This publication does not exist because the heroine wrote it herself, and she herself knows that she will have to go shopping and search carefully. Realizing that His Majesty is asking for a favor, the man nods his head and smiles. If this is really important, then Cherville will go to all the shops and stores in order to get what he ordered. The search will only take a few hours. The beauty's assistant is already waiting at the market with the only copy that remains to hand over the book to the Marquis's servant. Then the man will bring the thing to the prince's office. Everything continues to go according to plan because there are only 15 days left before the spell wears off completely and the lady returns to her appearance. The mistress is going to do everything that needs to be done as usual, but the maids talk about the mark that appeared on her shoulder. The young man looks at his hand in surprise, noticing dark spots there. It is not easy to leave marks on his body, so he is surprised. Yesterday, the guy lost control because of desire. As it turned out, he was the only one who behaved this way, so now he regrets that this happened. The maids curse the prince all day long. It is not surprising that he avoids him, knowing that such a person is too rude. Frederick believes that he was the one who was abandoned. Judging by the way everyone is fussing around, tomorrow the entire estate will be calling the heir a shameless monster who knows no boundaries. The Count and his wife left the city to check, but the rumors will definitely reach the brothers Irene, Cedric, and Aine very soon. As it turned out, the heroine is smart, because the older brothers will definitely put pressure on the future emperor because he dared to do this. Now the girl is going to rest a little. She sends Eve away, promising that if something happens, she will immediately call. The hero remembers Irene's behavior and thinks again about what it took to do something like that. There was a reason. Derek won't let go of the woman who ran off with his body. If a couple spent the night together, this means they should get married immediately after that. To stop the girl, you first need to return everything to normal. The guy has no idea how the beauty took over his body. Even just thinking about it, the boy can't remember that he ate anything strange that day. Everything was as usual, without any additions. The only thing that was special that day was the night together, which was magical. The hero will never forget about her. If the reason is what happened, and if it was because of this that the couple changed, then the solution will be obvious even without questions. The hero realizes that he will have to spend one more night with the Countess. This is the only way to return everything to normal without problems. Only a few days had passed since the maiden swapped bodies with Frederick Leafridge. They were all about the same. Thanks to careful planning, life as Derek is smooth and hassle-free. This cannot but please the young lady. Everything was fine, except for dinner with the Emperor and Empress, which took place literally the day before in the evening, when everyone had gathered. The couple desperately tried to reunite with their son, whom they had once thrown out of the empire with their own hands, without regret. My heart begins to ache just looking at the helpless faces of the emperor's couple. Perhaps these are just Derek's past feelings that remain. The man's body skillfully suppresses pain and tears, as if trained. She couldn't shed even a tear, even with everything that was happening. The brunette had to control his emotions since childhood, which became quite obvious. He was forced to do this without question. The girl prefers not to think about what happened to young Derek because these are not her problems. Over time, everything will settle down. For now, we need to focus on saving the Chandlers. The Marquis immediately asks how the dinner with the Emperor went. A letter arrived again from the Count's estate, which seemed to be addressed to the man's daughter. She really can't calm down. Turning away, the young man says that everything is being done again, as before. The old man sends the letter for the 4th time without an answer. Although Derek is a reasonable and rude prince, he should have definitely noticed that his body is already in the hands of the Countess, who does not yet intend to give it back. Until the lady breaks the curse, they cannot face each other in person, otherwise she will end. It won't be long until the end. According to the curse, when exchanging bodies, even a slight touch of the head to the skin can return them back to their bodies in an instant. Swapping bodies for the sake of healing is already exhausting, but the maiden cannot stand it if the prince stands in her way. That's why she should be careful. Virgo had to go through a lot, just books. Opening one of the pages, the heroine finally finds the right envelope she was looking for. Initially, crushed ingredients for preparing an antidote were hidden in the volume. All that remains is to add them to tea. Looking at his watch, the young man marks 4 minutes. After the allotted time, the drink is ready for consumption by the one under the curse. Taking a sip, the hero winces. The taste is terribly bitter, but the lady is still obliged to drink this for about another week for the sake of her family. Another 7 days have passed. The transfer of Derek's body and escape will take place on the night of the full moon, when there will be the most successful period of what needs to be done. By the time everything returns to normal, everyone in society will be whispering about how cold the prince is to the princess. He didn't answer a single letter. When the maiden returns to her body, the young man will definitely appear to her and try to talk, even through a completely closed door, for salvation. This time, Irene will avoid the prince due to sadness. Everyone has already heard what he did to her on Rebos Island, and they hate the heir. It doesn't matter where or how they meet because it won't matter much. She will be asked to explain herself, but it will be simple. The girl knows that she will say that she was scared when she suddenly swapped bodies with His Highness and has no idea why this happened. The most important thing is the tears in my eyes. Irenia tried to protect His Highness, and even if it didn't work out, she at least did everything in her power. The lady is not going to talk about the curse. After many attempts to kill Derek, he was cursed by the evil Archduke. He turned to the dark magician. A man is doomed to switch bodies with a woman after spending the night with her. When everything happened, the acquaintance planned to kill that lady and erase all traces of Frederick's soul from the earth. The powers of the owner of the body of the royal family are limitless. Once Chandler lifts the curse, the emperor will find a suitable female heir who will soon become the empress. The lady doesn't know about the younger ones in the imperial family, but she knows for sure that she doesn't want to be his bride. This guy has a terrible character. From an early age, the parents of the main character taught her to choose her husband wisely. He will have to respect his wife and treat her with trepidation. The main thing is to remember the situation of families. In this case, someone like Count Sylvian would be quite suitable for the role of a future lover. There's a knock on the door. This is Pierre Sylvian, who seems to have read his thoughts and is now waiting to be allowed to enter. Nodding his head, the man opens it. A guy with blonde hair and innocent eyes bows his head, greeting the young son of the Empire. This is the Duke's eldest son. A smile slips somewhere on the edge of consciousness. The lady only thought that he would be suitable as a husband, so it is not surprising that everything turned out this way. Pierre looks a little different. Always next to the princess, he smiled without any pretense, but now his face has changed a little. Asking about the work that they managed to finish, the prince stops because they tell him about the messenger Chandler, who met on the way. He was sent by Mrs. Irene, but it is obvious that the young guy is not even going to meet anyone or somehow change anything for himself. Clenching his fists behind his back, the blonde still says what he has in mind. He believes that the attitude towards the young lady is too much and goes beyond all boundaries. The Chandler family is connected to Pierre in many ways. First of all, they both belong to royal origins, which is already something important and unifying. The estates are so close that the journey is just a few steps. Both fathers are close, and the young man himself looks like the girl's brothers. They always praise the guy as an attentive gentleman. Despite all the wonderful picture and relationship, the lady still has a grudge in her soul against Sylvian, which is why it's a little difficult. Madame Count is a problem. The heroine is not going to get close to her in any way because it is not beneficial for her. The girl is a little depressed because it is clear from her how interested she is in friendship with the young lady from the Chandler family. But this is not destined to come true. All this is because Madame is the main character in the novel The Cursed Prince, Lilia Sylvian. The lady doesn't look like someone who would have to spend the night with Derek. She is the one who is destined to fall in love with him and accept the care that is offered. The red-haired one is not going to be there even to keep quiet. She shouldn't bother the blonde so as not to get in the way. All Irene can do is act as a decoration for the event. The crown prince will return to the country and the lady will seduce him, but if Lilia is involved, things will only become more complicated. You'll have to show your character. The girl did not want such a turn, but her life was at stake. Since she slept with Frederick, next time you can try to say hello first. For now, I need to emerge from my thoughts and answer Pierre. Repeating what the blonde said, the young heir furrows his eyebrows in bewilderment. The lady is glad that Sylvian is protecting her despite the fact that the smug prince is standing in front of him. His anger is valuable only at such moments. Now Madame is in Derek's body, so she cannot thank the young man. She would like to, but she knows it's too early. Silencing, the blonde tries to calm down his anger. He also came to convey what the elder brothers of the Chandler family had said. The two are worried about their sister's condition, so they would like to extend their vacation in order to take proper care of her. Everyone behaves as usual. The couple are still sycophants of the palace. They could use all their vacation in a year and not leave the Count's estate for a second. Most likely, Frederick, in the body of his girlfriend, is now drowning in the love of his brothers. If they want, they can stay home. The young man promises to convey his words to them. Turning away, the man asks if he will take Irene with him to the Emperor's birthday, but he answers with a simple no. The guys surrounded their sister, handing her cups of tea and the teddy bear she loves. They are only showing concern, but this is enough to drive the prince crazy. Such brothers seem to come out of nowhere. They will demonstrate against harsh treatment of a girl in order to protect her dignity. In the crown prince's palace, the two are like wild cats, but around their sister they become domesticated. They spend most of the day together. Everyone offers their own ideas. Cedric says it's better to go for a walk in the garden, and another compliments this idea with tea in the fresh air. At the mention of Rebo's Island, the girl droops. She looks glassy-eyed at the wall, thinking about what happened. Apologizing for mentioning that place, the redhead points to the table where they left tea and cookies that they should like. They are about to leave. Before disappearing, each kisses his sister on the cheek. She sits there in shock because she is actually the man who works with them. About half a month has passed since they switched bodies. The young man is pretty tired of pretending, and he doesn't know how much longer he has to endure. Irene left the prince after spending the night together. The crowning achievement was that proposal necklace that was never used. The girl's face is definitely elegant, but after 85 years it will definitely get boring. A man will never forgive a woman for making him ashamed of herself. Only Chandler has all the answers, but she continues to send the messenger back. The guy is obligated to figure out everything he needs on his own without help. If the lady wanted to swap bodies that badly, there had to be evidence of a threat to his position somewhere, but it had to be found. If the papers are found, then the future emperor will face an astonished face and everything will become clear. She won't be able to escape. Irene is trying to do what is required just to save herself. At this stage of her life, her only concern is her family. Trying to find at least some clues, the young man spent 2 hours in the office. He almost gave up, but it seems he pressed some button that opened an extra drawer. The hero discovered what he really needed: a secret. He hasn't figured out what's there yet, but anticipation is getting the better of him. From the outside, the book looks like an ordinary volume, but since it was hidden, there is something hidden inside. Madame was careless in this matter. So far, the man does not know what exactly his girlfriend is thinking about, but he will not allow anyone to set his sights on the position of heir to the throne. Opening the first pages, the hero bursts into color and throws the album into the distance. The paper depicts actors without clothes. First, there was a new wave of misunderstanding, and then sadness after another examination of my face in the mirror. I want to return to my body and forget about everything. What the hero was worried about did not happen. The morning came after the exchange of bodies, which returned everything to normal after the coup. The young man woke up in the same way as Irene. She stretches sweetly in bed, praising herself for finally breaking the curse and threat to her family. Surprisingly, the body is quite healthy. At first, the lady thought that with such a character as the future king, he would do something to her in revenge. The room was safe and sound, just like everything else. Eve knocks on the door, asking the lady if she can come in. Smiling, the lady invites the maid inside. She doesn't seem to notice anything strange and is acting normally as expected. Irene refused all appointments, so she thought about applying to the Crown Prince's palace, but nothing happened. Asking to cook something simple, the heroine hears Eve's joy that the mistress's tastes have returned. Lately, the lady had been reluctant to eat, constantly turning her nose and saying that she felt bad. Now, everything has improved, and everything has become as good as possible. The whole family gathered for tea. They amicably discuss the fact that the young man communicates in this way with their girl. Virgo has finally returned to the family she tried so hard to save all this time. She sits down at the table while tea is poured for her. The father calls the lady baby, and nothing bothers him, because it seems as if only yesterday he was holding a newborn child. Undoubtedly, time spent with family is considered the best time in the world. Irene is not ready to change her mind about this. Before the heroine went to Rebo's Island, she and her brothers were drinking tea. The girl's mood noticeably dropped because she knew what awaited her. Cedric encouraged his sister, saying that if the prince attacked her, he could hit her. He is a wonderful doctor and can heal wounds. Despite his objections, Chandler believes that this is not something that should be said to the Emperor's doctor. In any case, the statement was funny. As the family discusses what happened, a servant arrives and delivers His Majesty's orders. He wants to see Irene. The Count refuses because his daughter's heart is broken, which means she will be at home. The future Emperor promises that he will appear at the estate if he does not get his. The head of the imperial faction has no right to refuse the wishes of the future Emperor. Virgo understands that she needs to go. The heroine is not obliged to sacrifice herself for the sake of her family, but she does not consider this something terrible because she knew that she would be called. In fact, Irene was even looking forward to this cherished moment because she wanted to know how Derek would react. Smiling and leaving the carriage, the lady asks why the prince came out to meet her. He does not move, continuing to look forward. The most stressful part of Chandler's plan is over, and now she can finish the last part so she can be free. Stepping aside, the young man asks what the lady did with his body. The lady usually smiles, but for some reason she is now sad. As expected, the hero understood everything, so the original version of Dunno will not work. Liefridge must have thought a lot. The lady knows that they swapped bodies, but it was also a surprise for her. She was just trying to behave appropriately so that no one would notice. Like anyone who realized that something was wrong, the girl should have contacted the man, but she dumped him after the night together. Stepping back, the heroine insists that she did everything right, because a bird with a red ribbon flew in, and that meant only one thing. This may be an excuse, but the girl also sent away all the messengers that were sent as if she was avoiding the prince. The man demands to know the reason for being ignored for 15 days, which really hurt his fragile heart. The voice rises imperceptibly. Unfortunately, Irene can't say anything because that's his nature. Despite this, he is still incredibly handsome. Perhaps this is the last time the beauty will see this face up close, so she sighs. She wanted to stay away from the young heir to the throne. The reason why the redhead didn't want any more contact was simple. She no longer loves the prince, so she refused. Just now, the young man was persistent, but his face suddenly changed. When the lady ran after him, he didn't even look at her, but now, for some reason, he regrets it. The line has already been crossed, so there is no point in delaying it. All this time, the Countess was in pain because of this man's carelessness. To be honest, the beauty hates Derek with all her heart. These words are like a slap in the face, leaving a mark on the very heart. Judging by the silence, there is nothing more to say. With the permission of His Highness, the lady leaves, turning sharply and hoping for a happy ending. All this time, the heroine followed the prince because she hoped for a smile that one day they would give her. This, unfortunately, did not happen. The fatigue from pretending and smiling has become greater. The Countess clutched at love like a dog that sees nothing but its owner. Returning from Rebos Island, the heroine thought for a very long time. Her father was right, so she wants to love someone who will respect her. Eve, who was standing nearby, immediately agreed with the lady. She definitely deserves all the best, just because of her kindness. The maid is happy, but does not understand how the lady dared to say such a thing right to the crown prince's face. If it were her, she would have been scared and fainted. Now there are no connections with the prince. You need to contact the assistant to find out everything and start preparing for the emperor's banquet. Walking past one of the paths, Irene notices Pierre, who seems to have been waiting for his beloved all this time behind. Every time in front of the heroine, this man becomes cute. His feelings are too obvious because they cannot be hidden. The blonde man heads to the crown prince's palace, although he usually has too many things to do that have nothing to do with the future emperor. Derek runs as fast as he can. He cannot let his beloved just leave. There are still some things left to give to her. Running up, the young man freezes. He watches how events develop between the two, who talk about the banquet to which Sylvian is going to accompany the heroine. This person is definitely the best option for an escort. They are both from the royal family and have known each other since childhood, so there will be no rumors. A smile makes a friend feel calm and makes a great dance partner. The girl asks when she should give a full answer. The lady heard from the knights that the friend had received many letters. He says it's not as important as Irene, who is always number one. The lady is going home. Sylvian, like a true gentleman, offers to walk her back to say something goodbye. A dissatisfied voice comes. The prince believes that his seventh has too much free time, although this should not be the case. Bowing his head, the hero apologizes. He met the lady, so he stayed to talk a little before she left to go back to her estate. A few minutes later, Pierre leaves. In a rude voice, the young man asks to talk to him about what just happened between them. Undoubtedly, the brunette is going to continue asking about the curse. The more the girl talks to him, the more difficult it is for her. Starting to cry, the lady asks for forgiveness. She's hiding too much to say. This time, for some reason, the young man does not place all the blame on her. Eve runs up just in time. She grabs the mistress's arm, saying that they should leave. The emperor cannot make things worse than they already were. That day, the lady calmly walked out of the situation without any problems, but even so, she understands that she forcibly took possession of the prince's body. Derek is a powerful man, so he can punish the Chandler family every day without stopping with complete determination. The heroine did not leave evidence that could lead everyone to her estate, but as an heir, a man can create it himself. There is nothing left, so the lady acts as if she was hurt by the rudeness of a guy she doesn't care about at all. According to the maid, the lady had been looking in the mirror frequently for the past few days. She quite likes her tear-stained and pleading face. If the hero had blinded his beloved, everything would have been much simpler, because he would not have to worry about his family. Trying to get the young man out of her head, the lady asks to stop by the same store on 3rd Street to buy jewelry. The lady promises that she will come when everything is ready. It's worth making more tea to calm down, and for the wonderful helper from that place. Sitting at the table, the hero continues to think about what happened. Irene's tears were 100% expected, simply because of who she is as a person. Of course, there is no joy because, being in an enemy country, the hero put his life on the line to develop feelings, and she dared to show her feigned feelings. Those tears weren't real because the beauty took the opportunity to run away and avoid questions about the body swap. Thanks to the conversation, the young man learned that his friend had deliberately swapped bodies. If it had not been on purpose, there would have been no escape. Taking a beautiful box out of his pocket, the guy stares at it intently. Inside is an engagement necklace that was never given to the owner. When everything happened, the prince threw the thing away, but the maid who was cleaning returned everything back. These are His Majesty's precious feelings. Irene is smart, so they will discuss the place for the future empress. This time the guy doesn't even know what to say. Chevril knocks on the door just to get in quickly. He brought delicious tea, which is worth trying at least once in all time. For the past few days, the future king has been drinking that same drink every day. That is why the servant decided that he would definitely like the gift. Smiling, the hero asks to call Irene's brother to the palace. He urgently needed a doctor's examination, and he found her weak spot. Finally, the blood was all over. The man steps aside, picking up a beautiful cone with him. It is possible to learn a lot of new things from a blood test. Cedric promises to tell everything as soon as he finds out the exact table with numbers and standards. An idea comes to mind that if Irene was drinking poison tea when they switched bodies, everything is possible. If everything is true, then the young man is obliged to punish the lady. He doesn't know how much a woman who ran away after a night together will beg for mercy. An evil smile blooms on the face with dark colors. The brunette is all in anticipation, knowing that nothing good will come of this. The lady prepared for the momentous evening. Her attire looks absolutely amazing, and it makes you feel wonderful. Before the coming-of-age ceremony, the father himself stated that Chandler was free to choose the outfits for the family when they all went out together. At first, everything did not work out as it should, but thanks to the support of the Count, from an early age the lady received letters from famous designers. Eve almost jumps for joy around the maiden. The dress she's wearing is probably also from a famous designer, so no one else will have something like it. The lady has not yet decided with whom to go to the banquet. It will be quite difficult to choose a worthy partner from a bunch of letters. There is nothing left before the event, less than a week, so it's worth choosing someone who will keep you company. Sighing, the heroine puts a bright stamp on the letter and asks the maid to send it to the estate of Duke Sylvian. She knows exactly what to do. The son of a friend's family would be a better choice. The blonde personally asks for this, so it would be extremely indecent to refuse. The lady understands that the request will soon be fulfilled, so she breathes a sigh of relief. Mother asked her to come down for lunch. The father, seeing his daughter, immediately says that her outfit is wonderful. Selecting stylish things has become a new hobby for the beauty. Mom points to the table, saying that the chef prepared all of Irene's favorite dishes that day. She deserved to try something great right away. The brothers are not in the dining room yet. Aine is already coming down, and Cedric had to rush to the palace because he was called at the wrong time. By jumping up from her seat, the lady shows her interest, but rather her concern. It seems that the queen was very ill to be called so urgently. The problem is different. The crown prince has not been examined for a long time, so the man must check all the results so that there are no deviations. The results are already available. Having returned the body, the hero can conduct a medical examination without problems. It's pretty smart of him to do just that. There were definitely toxins in the tea Chandler drank for the curse. It doesn't matter why the heroine gave the prince a decoction, but if it is discovered, Irene will face the death penalty for treason. If Derek thinks about what is happening, then the girlfriend also has the right to care about the consequences, which are best avoided. On the last day, she drank tea that neutralizes toxins. Even if other non-toxic substances are found in the test, the young man will not be able to understand why exactly he was given the decoction, so the lady is one step ahead. Aine arrives just in time. He smiles, asking about his little sister's well-being. The girl seems to be in a good mood. Sitting at the table, the girl chats with her family, experiencing a strange and alluring feeling of victory that gives pleasure. The heroine had no way of knowing that the results of Lyfridge's examination would be beyond her expectations. Everything did not go according to plan for the umpteenth time. Cedric checked everything carefully. There was nothing unusual in the blood test results, so he reported it to His Majesty immediately. Frowning, the young man asks about the consequences of the assassination attempt. He wants to know a little more so that this time he can be one step ahead of his girlfriend. Chandler frantically flips through his notebook. If someone tries to bully the crown prince, the future emperor, it will be impossible to ignore. Nothing suspicious was found this time either. If someone had used poison, there would probably have been a trace in the blood, but no. An interesting thought comes to mind, because if a person constantly used a light dose of the drug, everything could be reflected differently. If the attacker had not used a neutralizer, even small amounts would have been detected. There's nothing you can do. Even if the lady took possession of the prince's body, it took her time to smuggle the poison and antidote into the palace. It took 2 weeks, and the woman, quite brave, is ready to do something like this. It remains to take the last sample. The young man asks about the effect that remains after what he has been drinking for the last few weeks. The hero wants to know if there is an effect that everyone is talking about so unanimously. As a palace employee, the red-haired man completely agrees. The rumors do not lie because the herbal tea that was given to the king is quite beneficial for men's health and for the prevention that is practiced. Trying not to laugh, Cedric orders himself to pull himself together and finally begins to talk about exactly what effect the drug has. His Majesty used herbs that were effective in increasing stamina. Realization came quite quickly and made me freeze. The herbal tea that the lady drank is extremely beneficial for men. It's strange that they took care of this, because in this case everything was planned even earlier. If this is true, then the maiden left the prince because he was not good enough. In bed, something didn't go according to plan or shouldn't have happened. Hearing light laughter, the hero raises his head, asking whether he is mocking him or not. He breaks down and starts laughing more than ever. Irene seemed to have decided to mock the feelings of the young man, who in the end received nothing. He is worried about what is happening because he is considered strange. Now, it seems that all the words about love were lies, covered with a layer of dust. I remember the day when the lady said that everything had disappeared, like her feelings. It became clear that the words about respect and a good man were also lies. She decided that she had the right to twist her nose and confuse the future king himself. A beauty who left another person for true love cannot just start drinking tea for men. It turns out that this was a simple check. Irene constantly clung to His Highness, but suddenly changed dramatically. It seems that everything went according to her secret plan, which was not known. The Virgin did not like the failed night. Unknowingly, the hero gave her his first precious experience and firmly believed that if a couple spends the night, then a wedding is a completely natural development of events. Snatching the papers, the brunette squeezes them into a ball and throws them in the trash. He will not allow someone to trample on his dignity and leave everything as it is. Sitting on a bench in the shade of trees, the heroine yawns. The assistant promised to arrive just in time for lunch, but so far, no one is visible on the horizon. She becomes terribly bored. Instead of who Irene was expecting, Cedric appeared on the horizon, who, noticing his sister, furiously waves his hand in greeting. Smiling, the young man tries to tell something that will definitely cheer up the young lady. He had just arrived from the palace of the young heir to the throne. As it turns out, His Majesty constantly takes herbs in order to stay active and lead his life normally in both senses. The guy bursts into laughter, but immediately falls silent as soon as he sees his sister's sad face. She seemed to be thinking about something and plunged into another world. The lady was so focused on neutralizing the toxins that she completely ignored another use for the decoction, which helps with impressing girls. The heroine wanted to lift the curse, but in no way offend the young hero, who now looks stupid in the eyes of others. He was good, but now no one will believe him. Now the lady is incredibly uncomfortable. We need to come up with a new plan to explain ourselves, but it's too early for that. Irene doesn't like what's happening, but her little brother sees everything completely differently. It seems to him that the lady still cannot forget the crown prince, who made her suffer. Stretching out his hands, the young man grabs his sister by the cheeks, asking her to cheer up a little. There is no point in trying to hide anything, much less your own feelings. Seeing a woman suffer because of a heartless man is heartbreaking. No one wants a relative to go through something like this. Both the father and the brothers are very worried about the girl and believe that she needs to find a worthy groom. On the Avenue of Roses, where the lady took her first steps as a child, the Count made a garden. Raising her head, the lady notices the pandemonium. There stands Derek, who should not have ended up in such a place for sure. His Highness is asking where his former lover is. Opening the gate, the girl calls the prince to her. She releases the servants, who do not have to worry about anything. There's no point in getting on their nerves. It seems that the young man came for the results of the examination. The heroine simply must cope with this so that everything ends as best as possible. Stopping the beauty, the young man asks if she would like to forget that very night, and that's why she behaves this way. He doesn't really say anything else. It's not fair to say something like that and then fall silent, as if you're still waiting for some logical answer that won't come. Aside from the fact that he was rather clumsy, the night wasn't all that bad. The man tried to make sure that they both liked what was happening. It is not clear why the young man thinks that the whole reason lies in the night spent together. He knows that if the lady had the chance, she would throw him on the bed. Turning away, the lady smiles lightly. She doesn't deny the fact that she would really do something like that if she could. The brother should have already told everything since he is a doctor. The heroine simply drank restorative tea with an aphrodisiac. Although the interlocutor had no malicious intent, she took possession of the body without permission and did something else to correct the mistakes. If you tell the truth, the lady will lose her head. To protect her from death, Derek had to declare his curse. If a man does this, then his path to the throne will become even more difficult. You can't just give people a reason to whisper. If this is really what the prince is going to do, then it is unclear why he is trying to pretend to be threatening. Noticing the slight movement, the red-headed woman wiggles her eyebrows as a sign of displeasure. She doesn't quite understand what the young man is going to do. Maybe Derek hid a knife there? That's why the lady is twitching. A strange box with a beautiful necklace appears before my eyes. This pendant bears the royal sign, and everything immediately becomes exponentially more confusing. The heroine never dares to ask about anything on her own. If the heroine accepts the gift, then the deception can be immediately forgotten. The young man asks her to become the wife of the crown prince and take the place that legally belongs to her. Turning away, Irene only says that she cannot accept such a gift, which is not the best option, much less with an offer. Everything that is said next sounds a little stupid, but the girl wants to fall in love first, and only then marry the person she likes. The lady seems unsatisfied that night, so she is not interested in marriage. The man returns to the same conversation with which he started. Leaning closer and grabbing the lady's shoulder, the guy tries to convince her to repeat what happened. This time, both will be satisfied. Derek is too handsome, but it's unclear what he's talking about. No one said that the beauty would want to repeat what happened, and she herself did not confirm this. The lady is trying to calm down. We must not forget that she plays someone who has been greatly hurt by love, and she is unhappy with everything. Turning around, the heroine says that it is impossible for them to spend a little more time together. Love simply evaporated in such a short period of time. The longer Irene looks at the young man, the prettier his face seems. If he had not distracted her, she would have continued to look at one point. Frowning, the hero says that he is giving one last chance. He's not going to play stupid games, so he wants to know what the problem is. The small son of the empire forgot that the maiden knows how to negotiate no worse than he. The beauty tucks her hair behind her ear, asking not to speak to her in such a tone. The lady calls Derek by name because she remembers the conversation a little earlier. The guy likes it when people call him that. The girl refuses everything that is offered to her because she doesn't want anything else. This is strange, because even after returning to the empire, she constantly wandered after the prince. At that very moment, it seemed as if fire had flared up in his eyes. Anger comes out, which the interlocutor tries to contain as best as possible. Unfortunately, the lady doesn't feel anything at all. Even so, when a man promises a wife's place and a hot night, the heart cannot help but flutter. Unrequited love is always unsuccessful. The lady had to make sure that everything remained a secret, but in the end nothing worked out. Now there is nothing between them. The Chandler family has their own plans. A woman knows that her parents want her to meet a young and sweet man with whom they will live a happy life. The brunette just can't calm down and just give up. He asks what kind of love the girl needs because she still doesn't say anything. If the maiden answers, the young man will only understand that he knows nothing about this word in general. Explanations would only tire the heroine, so she refused. The conversation is interrupted at the most opportune moment by Hades' Killian, whom she was waiting for. The boy brought the gems especially for the lady. Smiling, the red-headed woman greets Mr. Everything Happened just in time, so the lady asks to come with her. Asking forgiveness from His Highness, the woman hopes for understanding because a guest has arrived with whom she will be together for some time. Frowning, the guy asks in bewilderment if there are any other men here besides him. At first, it seemed unrealistic. A young man works in a jewelry store. Irene has ordered decorations for the future king's birthday banquet, so it's time to receive them. According to the prince, the hero is too young. It seems that he has a stereotype in his head that the red-haired woman will attack anyone who has beauty and intelligence. The seller looks young, but is already quite mature. There is enough strength because sometimes you have to carry out many orders that fall like a mountain from above. Smiling, Chandler asks His Highness what else he needs. There is no need to start a fight or shout when you can carefully escort Derek out. Clenching his fists, the hero would like to say something else, but in the end he turns around and leaves. Frederick does not want to take away his and the young man's time together. Irene never expected that she would be offered the position of wife of the future emperor, although it was strange. It was better than if he had behaved differently. If a girl from the Chandler family takes the place of the crown princess, then the disagreements among the nobles will definitely subside. In this case, both sides will win. Most likely, the lady would have agreed, and that's exactly how everything would have happened further. But Derek's ardent character drives him crazy. With other people, the heroine feels calm. They had not seen Mr. Killian for a very long time. He fulfilled the request perfectly, and it was not even difficult, knowing exactly what the reward would be after. Irene would like to hear about gems, so she suggests they rest a little. Sending Eve to the kitchen, the girl asks to prepare snacks. The door slowly closes after the maid runs away in the direction of the dining room. There is silence in the hall for some time, which, like a dome, covers the entire space. Sitting down on the floor, the blonde takes off his glasses. Now only these two remained, and he already thought that he would run away because of the boredom that had overtaken him. Stroking the young man's hair, the heroine says that she also misses him. Finally, they are together. Hades' Killian smiles back and blushes slightly. He seems quite a bit embarrassed by what his girlfriend is saying to him. The young man is glad that he did as he was told. He always wants to please his girlfriend only with good news and not see her upset. Continuing to run her fingers through her hair, the lady suddenly asks about perfume. Nodding actively, the young man waits for praise, to which the heroine says that he is not bad. The only request is not to choke yourself like that when the boy comes to visit Irene. There may be rumors that he is seducing her. If the baby looks with such cunning eyes, the maid may completely misunderstand everything, and this will cause many problems. Nodding his head, the young man turns away. He seems a little offended, but at the same time understands how important it is. When asking a question, the hero asks if the lady knew his secret. Finally, everything changed, and he became an adult, not the same as he was before. Sighing lightly, the redhead plays a game, saying that she didn't even realize that her birthday had passed so quickly. The only one who supports Killian is Irene, but at the same time she doesn't care about him at all. It seems like she doesn't care. Hades understands the situation with the things that have piled up, so he doesn't say anything. He has a habit of raising his eyebrows in agreement. The girl met the guy 10 years ago. He heard someone he knew mention her, so he just wanted to see her in person. The boy did not think that such a nice lady would really support him, because she did not look at all like someone who wanted to do such a thing. Grunting, the little girl asked to be calmer and not make unnecessary noise. She is 2 years older than the blonde and demands respect. A person who finds himself in a novel like Irene is always worried about how to attract people to his side and win in any case. According to the original plot, Hades is a villain who roams around like a wild dog. In the original, he got involved with the villainess, but here the lady managed to get close to him earlier. The heroine was too young to fully support anyone, so she had to work hard to create a fake character. The Virgin really needed the honesty and devotion of the young man. He was abandoned by his father and became a thief on the street. There was no choice but to help. The hero became Irene's personal assistant. The man later received the support he sought, and the undergrowth near the royal capital was placed under his control and authority. The fact that the guy has not forgotten the benefactress and still cooperates with her is worthy of praise. Leaning closer, the lady asks what her friend would like for his birthday. The young man, as usual, jokes about kissing, but quickly changes the topic. The latest step of the aristocrats is strange because there is no evidence or evidence. It feels like they are preparing something big. There is a good chance that His Majesty will talk about the crown princess. Since Derek returned to the Empire, the attention of the aristocrats has always been focused there. Each of them will do anything to ensure that the place of the princess is taken by a lady from a group of aristocrats. The recipe cannot be changed. Due to the fact that Irene was constantly with a man, the hatred fell on her. She herself did not notice how this happened. Soon the party will start rumors, so the lady asks Hades to eavesdrop on everything. After this, the boy must tell everything in detail in order to understand what to do next. The young man asks if he can kill the one who starts the rumors, but receives a denial. You need to think about what comes out of your mouth. You will have to listen to how higher people insult the beauty. The banquet is just around the corner, so we'll have to wait until they get there. Killian had never seen his friend be nice to those who contacted her first. Everyone will get what they deserve sooner or later. After the transmitted information was confirmed, it became clear what plan needed to be built depending on the future. Archduke Cadion, one might say, the leader of a group of aristocrats, was exchanging letters with someone from abroad. The man was very ambitious, and moreover, he is the free brother of the emperor. He has too much power, and he cannot be stopped. This man is the son of Lady Lola, the former lover of the emperor. The maiden was of low birth, so everyone in the palace was full of contempt for her. The lady did not challenge the empress. She did not need money, but only the opportunity to lead a peaceful life and maintain honor. She knew her place. It was a life without need, but she had to live without raising her head, and then become the mother of an archduke. Cadion was very young, so he didn't understand what was happening. That is why the kid regarded the bow as the highest insult. Time passed and war broke out. At that very moment in the man's life, there was a great chance to accomplish his plan. Derek's uncles, the first, second, third, and fourth heirs to the throne, died on the battlefield. One morning, the boy woke up second in line. Lyfridge Jr. was exiled as a hostage to stop the mages turning people's homes into battlefields, so he disappeared, and so Cadion became a more likely successor to the empire. After this, members of the group of aristocrats sided with the Archduke. The guy put a curse on Derek. Thanks to this, even Irene herself suffers. If a brunette exchanges letters with someone from abroad, it becomes completely unclear what exactly he is going to do. The day before the event, the young man decided to look through all the letters sent to his beloved. They, surprisingly, turned out to be harmonious with each other. The hero read everything that was written to find her guilt, but only realized that she was much more talented than noble people, so she managed to complete everything. There's a knock on the door. Once again, Sylvian has arrived and enters, trying to remain neutral. Bowing his head, the man greets the small son of the empire. Come to think of it, he always calls Irene by her first name. Taking a break from his thoughts, the brunette listens to the fact that his interlocutor is going to report on affairs in the command of the 7th Knight. After the story, the prince releases the knight early. He thanks him, because now he can quickly begin preparing for the banquet. Arrogance can be heard in conversation and words. It seems that the boy has already found a partner for the banquet that will be held very soon. Deciding to enlighten the future emperor, the hero says that this is Chandler, who herself gave her consent to dance together. The man has already faced countless threats and offers of cooperation, so he knows how to touch someone's weakness. By pretending that nothing happened, by pretending that the words of others mean nothing, he achieves perfection. Now the man can no longer remain calm. He told the lady to wait, but she immediately found another partner. They had just parted, so the young man thought that the lady would be accompanied by her brothers or father at the banquet. It seems that the young man is really close to Irene, and this is a little annoying. Hearing the name, Pierre frowns a little, not quite understanding the topic of the conversation. As we already know, Chandler's family is quite close to his family. He and the lady have known each other since childhood and are friends. When the blonde asked, His Majesty said that he did not intend to accompany anyone to the banquet, so the man made his move first. The fox predicted that if the prince refused, Pierre would accompany her. When she was in his body, she told everything to Sylvian. When the lady pretended to cry, then most likely these were tears of happiness, which she did not play in public. The blonde is undoubtedly liked by many. Even Lyfridge himself has heard compliments on his shiny hair and mysterious violet eyes. On the days when the 7th Night Squad went out to train, only girls with scarves crowded around to help. The young man always smiled back, saying that he was pleased with the way he was taken care of, even if many remained just as busy. Thanks to his soft expression, people might mistakenly think that he was a man of rule, but Irene has absolutely no understanding of men. Both guys, even the one from the gem store, are both skinny. There's nothing to see there, or the reason is because they're fun to play with. The prince is calmer, because Pierre would have cried if anyone had left him after the night together. Even the future emperor himself did not satisfy Chandler, so others cannot be better than him at all. Thoughts about what happened still haunt the boy and make him incredibly upset, because he was hoping for something and even made an offer. If Irenia had looked at Pierre with the same loving eyes as at the main character, then he would have seen what was intended for the prince. After thoughts that come so quickly, you even feel a little uneasy. The young man is afraid to imagine such a picture. Addressing his interlocutor, the brunette reminds him that it is too early to enjoy the banquet. Everyone knows that Archduke Cadion has his sights set on the throne. If forced, the lady will be driven to the point of making a choice in honor of her family, and then there will be no choice left. We must not forget about this either. The blonde bows his head before walking away. He realized that there would be no constructive dialogue, so he decided that everything would continue like this. The prince has a high position in society, but for some reason he forgets about it and begins to behave like a child. It's a little stupid. The day of the event, as usual, began with the lady dressing in a wonderful outfit. Eve squeals with satisfaction at the sight before her. No matter how much the lady looks in the mirror, the truth about her will not change, because she really looks just wonderful. It's time for her to conquer the hall. Smiling, the red-haired girl thanks. She is sure that other ladies will also want to have their makeup applied by the hands of a maid who is a real talent. Father and brother blink their eyes in surprise, making compliments. They believe that everyone in the room will go crazy when they see something beautiful. After the lady appears at the ball, men will begin to flock to the estate to talk and ask her on a date. The eldest son of the Count Sylvian family arrived. He goes inside, asking forgiveness for almost being a little late. Smiling back, the beauty tells Pierre that he looks wonderful. The young man is almost immediately filled with scarlet paint, which does not go away. It seems that the hero is quite satisfied with his companion's outfit, since he behaves this way. There is no need to say anything so as not to embarrass the boy even more. The banquet promises to be fun. The family says that they will meet at the place because they are going to use another carriage. The man gives the lady his hand. Stretching out her palm so that it falls into the blonde's hand, the red-haired girl says that she is already waiting for everything to go just wonderfully. Pierre is a little nervous. Anyone would be nervous if given the chance to dance with Chandler at a banquet. In addition, the family ordered to protect their daughter. All the nobles will be meeting on the same day, so it must be a little annoying. If something happens to the lady, it's best to tell her right away. For example, if she doesn't want anyone to approach, it's better to say right away. The blonde man seems to be talking about Derek. The name is not spoken directly, but it is immediately clear even from the smile, which looks too friendly. The children at the event are the first to start whispering, and then everyone else. Chandler and Sylvian arrive together as a couple, which was what everyone expected. Those ladies from the group of aristocrats look with disdainful glances. It seems they are trying to suppress with their numbers. Walking closer, one of them greets the Duchess. Trying to maintain a good atmosphere, the beauty asks if they are enjoying His Majesty's banquet, to which each gets a strange feeling. Covering her face with a fan so that the distorted gesture is not noticeable, the brunette says that everything is fine and thanks her for being asked so soon. In this case, they can continue to enjoy the company while the heroine goes first. She doesn't want to stay in such a crowd. Pierre is already taking the lady's arm so that they can leave, but then that same aristocrat stops Irene in her tracks, asking her to stay. The couple still leaves the place, but finally the lady says that it is strange that the Duchess came without Frederick. She used to cling to him non-stop, but now she gave up. Lowering her eyes to the floor, the beauty tries to contain her anger and disappointment. It was known in advance that this would happen. Apparently, there was no hope left of getting the position of crown princess, so the lady decided to become a countess. Everyone in the group of aristocrats is exactly the same. The blonde is about to say something, but the girl stops him. It's better to leave everything to her, since it's not his problem. The girls were the first to start playing this game, so the beauty considers it necessary to show a little sincerity that will be remembered for a long time. Fakely laughing, the brunette says she didn't realize how loud she was talking. No one knew that the lady would be able to hear it. Freezing, the heroine tries to remember something. She peers into the facial features of that same woman, realizing that she has seen her somewhere. Humming, the beauty sucks her chin. The efforts are not in vain because one idea seems to come to mind. Now Chandler remembers exactly what happened, because she met that lady at the reception. Her face was forgettable, but now everything became clear. All three of them went to one of the events. At that moment, the girl was still clinging to Derek and looking at him with loving eyes. The only thing that comes to mind is that she was a young lady from a family who had lived in the countryside for a long time and had only recently received a small quarters in the capital. Perhaps because she was not used to the social world of the capital, she only dreamed of status, but she did something absurd. That day she poured a glass of wine on herself. Lowering her eyes, the brunette asked for forgiveness for knocking over something that was not necessary and for screaming loudly. The lady insisted that she had stumbled and done it by accident. This is a blatant lie because she did it on purpose so that Derek would pay attention. The lady decided that the man would be hers, so she grabbed his hand. Pretending that she stumbled out of the blue, she exclaimed that someone had cast a curse. Taking the brunette away, the red-haired woman asked if he wouldn't mind sitting away for just a little while to make things calmer. The girl was left completely alone. People around began to whisper that she did everything on purpose, but it became clear that nothing happened at all. This man is no better than Chandler. Smirking, the lady only says that when she looks at her interlocutor, she immediately remembers the past. The maiden once saw them with the crown prince, and that day she deliberately knocked over a glass on herself to attract the attention of His Highness. The lady blushed too much while the others started discussing. Better get ready, because Irene has just started her game. Angry, the brunette asks why remember what happened only once. Apparently, the interlocutor likes to talk about other people's mistakes again. No one in this world can remain without mistakes, which are sometimes made. The woman claims that she can buy 100 more of these dresses. People around agree, but somehow slyly. Not understanding where everything is leading, the lady asks the maiden about what she said. It seems to be true. Smiling, the girl asks if it is true that the brunette can buy another dress. The strategy remains exactly the same as before. Nothing will come of it, because the designers have already been notified. Irene told them that there is a girl who spills wine on her dresses for attention. Nobody wants to sacrifice their work. The thing was not made by metropolitan designers, and it must be difficult to buy dresses from afar. This isn't always the best idea. There will be a lot to do, because in the future Chandler is going to advise those designers something else to drive the friend into a corner. The aristocrats crowded around that lady, asking her to stop. It seems that they themselves do not know who they have contacted, so the heroine clarifies what families they are from. No one dared to say their last names, because they were afraid that the lady would remember and the count would not leave them alone. Everyone knows that when it comes to the youngest daughter, the whole family intervenes. Pierre notices that the girls no longer intend to talk. It's a pity because it's not so easy to be able to remember the names of everyone present. Turning in the other direction, Irene prepares to leave. The conversation was extremely entertaining, but now it would be best to leave. Approaching one of the waiters at the event, the maiden offers her companion some champagne. You are allowed to have a little fun at the banquet. The young man had already seen the girl drinking wine, so he was not surprised. He is silent, accepting the glass. Asking to give him the wine, the hero offers lemon juice. I don't want the lady to get sick after the first dose. Grunting, the lady notices that her friend is angrier than she thought, because he is going to hold her hand secretly when she can no longer control herself. Blushing, the blonde is noticeably nervous, shouting why such a thought even appeared in his head. It seems Irene went a little overboard. The heroine was only thinking about how to spend the night with Derek, so now all thoughts are of this kind. She's just joking and isn't going to repeat it. After drinking the drink, the lady will quickly lose her mind, so the man asks her to wait while he brings the fruit. This is only because last time the maiden said a lot of nonsense. The girl can't even remember what happened between them earlier, apparently because that's when she drank too much. The young man had just found a suitable companion for Irene. A wonderful blonde comes out from afar and waves to her brother. The lady did not immediately notice the red-haired woman, so she asks for forgiveness. The blonde promises that he will return back very soon. Lilia also knows that the heroine always gets in her way, so she doesn't try to hide her embarrassment when she's around. Having been abandoned without knowing the reasons, she undoubtedly felt extremely uncomfortable. A slight fear is visible on the face. It is clear that the whole problem lies with the young lady. She interfered because Lilia is the main character of the novel, who became a couple for Derek. From the point of view of a person caught up in a novel, there is nothing surprising. The girl knew nothing, even though she was treated like this. She must still be in pain. Now that the lady has broken the prince's curse, there is no longer any need to treat young Sylvie in this way. She starts a conversation on her own. The girl sharply pinched her arm, as if trying to bring herself back to reality. The interlocutor asks in surprise why this was necessary. The heroine was the first to talk to Lilia, so she even thought for a second that this was a pleasant dream. This has never happened before. They start talking. The lady heard that many people are in love with Pierre, but in fact he seems clumsy. He has a hard time expressing his feelings. Looking at the man, the lady could not say that this was true in any of its manifestations. He's too handsome to be embarrassed that much. The blonde smiles once again, laughing slightly. I still can't believe that I can just discuss my brother with a friend like this. The red-haired girl always paid attention to His Highness, so much so that she didn't know how much fun it would be to talk to Lilia. The lady freezes, trying to digest the information. She does not accept that what is happening is actually true and wants to escape. Turning away, the woman thinks about how to say something about her friend and the crown prince. I can't believe that she also believes that the beauty was madly in love with His Majesty, but then gave up. There's no need to worry. When a person sincerely loves someone, there is no point in regretting even a single moment that flies by unnoticed. Turning from side to side to inspect the room for extra ears, the blonde leans closer, saying that she knows about the news. Irene will become Derek's new wife. Everyone knows that the man has always been cold towards the Countess, so it does not seem to her that the words spoken are true. His Majesty Frederick has been looking for a long time only at the girl who is standing in a distant part of the hall, as if trying not to lose sight of her. Meeting the gaze of the future emperor, the lady does not understand what is happening. He shouldn't look at her almost point blank. Come to think of it, the guy usually wears something simple, but this time he dressed up as if for some special occasion. The only reason could be that he wants to look cool to attract someone's attention. Anything else does not apply here. While sipping a drink from a glass, the hero still does not break eye contact, which he does not want to lose by pure chance. Lily adds fuel to the fire. Everyone already understood what was happening, because His Majesty did not take his eyes off the couple. In some ways her friend is right, but only Frederick knows who exactly he is looking at, Irene or Sylvian. As the heroine knows, Liefridge places Lilia in a high place, above other aristocrats. There is a hidden meaning to this. Once, a woman even saw a brunette meet with an acquaintance to quietly give her some important box. That day, the young man opened the little thing and even allowed the girl to see what was inside. But surprisingly, she did not accept his gift even after begging. When someone like the future emperor gives gifts, it is not so easy to refuse, but she did it. Perhaps the couple is close. Derek gave the gem to the girl, who pretended that their meeting was accidental. This person was none other than Chandler. The man gave a piece of pebble, which the other lady had previously refused, as if he had given money to a beggar on the street, which angered the lady. To seduce the prince, the girl had to pretend to be happy, naive, and accept that very stone, saying from the bottom of her heart, "Thank you." That gem was the size of a finger and shone so brightly like a frozen drop of honey falling from heaven. The miraculous phenomenon did not leave my mind. Seeing her friend's happy face, Sylvian smiled contentedly. Even then, the lady could not understand why she was smiling so much, although her gift was given away. After what happened, the Countess gave the stone to Eve because every time she looked at it, it became incredibly painful. The maid was happy. If Derek looks not at Lilia, but at Irene, then he only regrets that he lost an excellent card. There are no other options left. A person who only cared about work definitely needed someone as cunning and good at planning as the heroine. Thoughts are abruptly interrupted. Pierre appears behind him, smiling and calling the girl by name in order to attract her attention as quickly as possible. The guy came late because he was choosing the most beautiful fruits and cakes. Lilia immediately starts to leave, saying that the conversation was pleasant. Nodding in response, the blonde watches his sister go and then returns to his companion. He brought everything that she likes so much. Holding out a plate on which all sorts of goodies are laid out, the young man watches the eyes of the lady who is happy. The hero still remembers exactly what kind of cakes the beauty ate with pleasure when he was invited to dinner at the Duke's house. The lady didn't know that such little things are noticeable to others, so she laughs. There was no need to do this, but it was nice. The blonde is not one of those who will force himself to do something he doesn't like, so he asks not to say harsh words in a fit of embarrassment. Pierre has always been like this, and this care for details and a sea of emotions is something that has never been possible to get from Derek, just like banal respect. Now the lady is beginning to understand why the aristocrats non-stop send letters to the 7th Detachment of Knights. He's just that good. All the boy's feelings are reflected directly on his face. This is exactly what ordinary people usually do, without trying to hide behind a mask of arrogance. The only thing unusual is the one whose face does not reflect anything, like Derek's. For years the maiden was busy only with the prince, but now she needs to get used to the normal reaction of others. The idea of choosing a friend as a dance partner was wonderful. Thanks to the young man, the reception turned out to be many times better than initially expected. Smiling, the blonde nods. He likes to hear that the lady liked the food, but she is talking about something else, which lies in the knight himself. What Irene just said should be regarded as another chance that must be boldly seized while there is still time. The man wants to hear a normal answer, but the lady holds out the cake, asking him to open his mouth. She will be upset if she hears a refusal. No longer able to bear sitting on the sidelines, the hero goes downstairs. Liferidge noticed that the couple was having fun, but did not know what Irene left there. Once again, Derek decided to ruin such a sweet moment. From his angry look, it is clear that his mood has disappeared, as well as his appetite. The baby seemed upset because the ex-girlfriend was feeding her friend. However, he has no right to behave this way. The lady is not in the mood to play games with the guy, so, grabbing the strawberries, she once again asks Pierre to open his mouth. Obeying the request, the young man opened his lips and swallowed the berry. Of course, she turned out to be quite sweet and pleasant. Still standing to the side, the brunette had almost begun to flare up from the anger that had washed over him. He can't watch this kind of game. Irene pretends not to hear, but this is more than enough to make her angry. She no longer wants to follow the orders of the future emperor. Previously, the girl understood him without words, but from the words she speaks now, it becomes clear that this was never true. The man once again tries to prove that he is right, but Pierre comes forward in time, asking His Highness to calm down a little and step away. Chandler will dance with his friend at the banquet because he was the one who invited her even earlier. The prince must not say that he is going to take away the lady of the seventh night, otherwise he will be extremely upset by what was said to his face. On this day, the guy's duty is to not let his partner get bored, so he can't let Irene go with him. The two stand opposite each other and glare, as if fighting without words. The lady standing behind cannot understand what is happening. If they fight, this news will obviously become the hottest among the aristocrats, and this cannot be allowed under any circumstances. Asking them both to be excused, the red-haired girl says that she is going to dance with Sylvian. If possible, she will find the king after the banquet. The young man does not understand why a girl is in the presence of other guys who are not part of her family, because this is indecent. Irene had previously wanted to dance with someone other than her brothers, but the one with whom she was unrequitedly in love refused her at the first opportunity. The lady would really like to dance, and finally she will be happy, because for this evening she already has Pierre, who agreed. Stepping back, the heroine asks them to excuse her as one of her favorite melodies begins, which makes her heart fly. They get along well, but the idyll ends very quickly. Running up to the girl, the prince says that it is better to dance with him first. It seems the lady misheard. When she asked Derek to dance with her earlier, he firmly refused, saying that he did not want to. That day, the guy refused so bluntly that even the others in the hall noticed the scene that unfolded. Now, it seems that opinion has changed. The whole reason is that the prince does not like Pierre, and he is trying to prove something to make it easier for only him. If the brunette understands about the exchange of bodies, he should refuse immediately. There is no reason to talk to him about something that will not bring any benefit in the end. Mr. Sylvian becomes the first person promised to dance, so there is no chance. Now the lady doesn't listen to him anymore. His Majesty must understand the position he's putting his girlfriend in. If she agrees, it will only become more reason for ridicule from everyone else. For some reason, the brunette calmly leaves. He doesn't try to get involved in the squabble, but simply turns around, looking at the floor with a sad look. Derek is so proud that he doesn't want to have any more discussion or even say anything to say goodbye. This is no longer Irene's problem. It is worth meeting with the prince later to discuss everything, but for now the best option is to start the dance slowly, since he will be the first. The young man looks innocent, but knows how to joke about such things. He doesn't seem to mean it, so he blushes, trying to concentrate. Usually only the Countess would think about something like that after what happened. She just jokes and imitates naughty wives to make the night laugh. The music starts and they start dancing. He really is amazing at dancing and tries to make it show. The blonde smiles, causing a response on his companion's face. The couple spins in the hall as if no one else exists. The aristocrats immediately begin to whisper. The lady had just refused Leifred Jr. and gave her dance to another, as if she was in love with him. The others also join in, asking Irene to dance with them too, or for Mr. to dance with the other girls. The first dance with Pierre goes well. The lady made everyone believe that she was no longer interested in Derek and the princess's place. Everyone around falls silent while a servant announces the arrival of the Archduke and Duchess Cadion, who have placed a curse on the boy. The door swings wide as the two slowly walk inside. An innumerable stony expression freezes on his face. The aristocrats begin to gather around the arrivals, so the lady asks her companion to come closer with her and see what is happening. Noticing Frederick in the distance, Cadion smiles, saying that he sees the face he has been waiting for so long. It doesn't show that something good is planned. The son of the emperor's mistress has no right to call the crown prince his nephew, but this is how he addresses the man as soon as he comes closer. The man asks if the young man has become accustomed to high society in the capital in such a short time since his return. There is no question about the speed of what happened, because he used to live in a castle abroad, unlike the Duke. Cadion's time growing up on the battlefield took longer than in the palace, so of course it was difficult. Interrupting the conversation, the young man asks to consider the Duchess's upbringing. She shouldn't have her neck broken if she even bows once. That lady is too young for a man, so most likely she doesn't quite understand royal etiquette. People from the noble faction seem too angry. Judging by the way the couple reacted, the blow went straight to the heart. They understand what they were going for in the first place. Since the prince has not yet found a lady, Then the Archduke will help him. He shows his true colors, because he is going to exchange the souls of Derek and his chosen partner. The future emperor defends himself, saying that his affairs do not concern others. He is still alone, so they worry about him. There are a lot of wonderful ladies among those gathered, but there must definitely be one to whom a man wants to give his first dance. He points his finger at Irene. If the heroine refuses, she will give other aristocrats a chance. Being on the side of the emperor, she cannot refuse, since if she does so, she will offend her faction. Seeing how the prince obediently gave his beloved to Pierre, she thought that he had given up. No one imagined that he was biding his time for such a situation. The blonde behind him restrains himself by moving his hand back. The heroine can only smile submissively, and then agree to the proposal. Accepting His Majesty's hand, the girl digs her nails into the palm with all her might to make clear her displeasure, which is strongly expressed. The lady doesn't seem to like the idea. She didn't want to dance with the young heir from the very beginning, and now it's all showing. There are so many eyes looking at them that it's better to smile. Virgo recalls how the prince repeatedly refused to dance when asked to dance. Because of what was happening, Irene thought that the acquaintance simply hated events where you had to dance. There were no other ideas. Chandler will only have to blame this person because there are no other options. He was disgusted to touch the beauty when they danced. His Majesty falls silent. He is trying to come up with a worthy answer that will not be laughed at by the maiden standing next to him and continuing the conversation. Frowning, Derek assures that he never says that it is unpleasant for him to touch his companion. It was only in her head because she was upset. This man is lying again. He couldn't stand the one who stuck to him, or rather, the main character. Moments pop up in my head when this manifested itself well. Sighing quietly, the lady tries to remind her that she is not so stupid as to sit and wait to be told that she is hated so much. The girl is sure that hatred is inherent, because all this time she was diligently pushed away every time she approached. The point is not at all that the man did not like the girl. He cannot find the right words, and he is left with no free time. Music started playing, many eyes are looking at the couple, and this means it's time to start the dance that begins. In this case, all that remains is to move forward. Stretching out his hand, the young man grabs the lady, who will remain focused so as not to spoil anything. Leaning closer, the Countess closes her eyes in pleasure. Through the thin fabric of the dress, Derek's strong hand is felt. Everything feels completely different from how it did with Pierre. Initially, it was clear that these two were complete opposites of each other. The lady cannot forgive herself for her thoughts. This man is driving her crazy and therefore must pay, because doing something like this is unimaginable. The lady steps on her foot on purpose, saying that she did it by accident. Mr. Sylvian is such a good dancer that he was evasive, but it is considered impolite to mention another man in front of his partner. From that very moment, the hero asks to look only at him and not think about anyone else, at least until the end of their dance. Derek seems to have lost it, because now he is showing his attraction to the girl with all his might, even if this is obviously not the best idea. Breaking down, the young man says that the squad leader has hands, and this means that he can eat on his own, without his partner, who will hold out a little food over and over again. It all started because the lady fed the guy in front of everyone else. He seems to be criticizing Sylvian, who didn't even do anything. If the couple stops, people will start chatting again. The best option is to continue the dance, which will only stop with the music. The lady never fed the prince, but did it for her own reasons. She knew that she would be hated, so she remained silent and did not try to do anything. Mr. Pierre was holding a plate in his hands to make it easier for the lady to eat, so she decided to thank him by feeding him a little fruit. It feels like the heroine is in a hurry to get rid of her feelings for the heir, while showing others that she is happy. The young man continues to dodge the shoes that try to get on his feet, saying that in a sense he understands his partner. The lady's freedom is already coming to an end. It remains to wait quite a bit for the guy to understand what spell she cast on him. This is exactly what the heroine was waiting for. There is no point in being embarrassed, because first you need to pretend that she doesn't know anything in order to save herself. Smiling lightly, the red-haired girl asks what charms we are talking about, as if she hadn't done anything, but she causes a slight laugh. Because of the beauty, they exchanged bodies. The girl was as confused as the hero himself, so she continues to play innocent. The brunette doesn't listen. Very soon he will investigate everything and get to the truth. The offer of the crown princess seat is still on the table, so it's worth considering. The curse was lifted, and no trace remained. There should be no more body swapping in all this, and until the young man loses interest, the lady will say that he is mistaken. The song is almost over, so Irene pulls away. It's time for them to stop, just like for everyone else. Loud applause can be heard all around from people who think that the couple danced well. The Duke should be happy. His Majesty appeared at the most opportune moment. He thanks the lady's father for raising such a wonderful daughter like her. The king is confident that there is nothing that would prevent her from becoming the new empress. The girl laughs lightly, trying not to show it. Dance is heartwarming even for a queen. Irene's dance reminds her of Duchess Chandler in her younger years when she arrived here. Sitting down in a curtsy, the lady thanks for the compliment, but His Majesty assures that everything is in order, since the story should not be so serious. You shouldn't bother your head with unnecessary thoughts, and even better, come to the palace more often. A man invites a lady to dine at the Empress's palace. When Irene is free, she can enjoy the beauty of the castle. If she is busy later, there won't be enough time for a visit. The conversation went in the wrong direction, because now they are both confident that the lady will become the crown princess, and then the empress, which everyone is looking forward to. Although the heroine is not going to become their daughter-in-law, she still has no right to refuse, because Her Majesty personally invited her. Pierre has been looking for Irene for an hour now, who seems to have disappeared. He definitely saw that the girl went in the right direction. Near the balcony, the young man finally notices his girlfriend, who is holding a glass in her hands. His face was a little flushed and his hair was disheveled. The lady immediately apologizes for drinking a little more, even though she was no longer in the best condition. She should rest. Pointing to a door in the distance, the girl suggests going there, since in theory there should be a cool breeze there. Sitting down on a chair on the balcony, the heroine tries to calm down a little and not fall. A friend puts his raincoat on his shoulders so that it is not cold. The blonde promises to bring water to make it feel a little better. He really is so caring and loving that it becomes a pleasure. The girl is also touched by the fact that the young man did not get angry after the dance with His Majesty, which took place and which he had to agree to. The hero sighs. The words made him perk up, but of course his girlfriend doesn't know that in order to hear something like that, the guy had to lie a lot. As a gift, the lady decided to pretend to be seductive, but he pretended not to notice anything. It seemed like it was an excuse to be alone. The most important thing was that Pierre understood only after he brought fruit, which she really liked. Irene likes the innocent look of the guy who twirls around her non-stop. He doesn't mind because he likes it. A girl likes to watch a man painfully try for her sake in order to gain trust, and so that she will only like him even more. The boy is truly ready to do anything to win the heart of his childhood friend. He likes her more than anyone else in the whole wide world. The girl, sitting with her friends almost in the entire hall, is indignant at the behavior of the future empress. She did not take a step towards the prince when the emperor appeared. The fact that the girl decided to go with the man to Rebos Island because she wanted to get into his bed, it adds meaning. Now everything has changed, because the hero, upon returning to the Empire, was cold towards the maiden, who no longer tried to do anything. The brunette doesn't believe that the girl was so bad that they started treating her like that. Most likely, everything was terrible. Raising his glass in his hands, the young man comes closer, saying that he has heard about this man more than once. She is the daughter of Viscount Alta. Tipping the contents, the guy watches as the drink is cut through the fabric. He advises not to behave this way so that things don't get worse in the future. That lady shamelessly slept with a man, but don't say that. She believes that Sir is exactly the same as his girlfriend since he revolves around her. The woman still didn't understand anything. The one whom Alt accuses is a beautiful snake, and Pierre is just a creature fascinated by it that obeys. That is why the hero does not even hesitate. The girls sitting behind are trying to ask the lady what is going on. Sir Sylvian could not splash water on his face since he is not from the Emperor's faction. He apologizes for his awkwardness. The ladies didn't even realize that the man had come to their company because they drank too much. The same thing happened to the brunette, so she stood in the way. There is no point in worrying, since the young man doesn't care. When this happens, extreme measures are immediately resorted to, and usually this does not happen. Smiling, the hero asks not to leave his dress like that, because otherwise the girl could easily catch a cold. The lady forces the man to stop lying. Miss Alt has been forgiven, but she still makes a fuss, trying to come forward and ruin everything. In this case, only the image of the victim is spoiled, so even Irene, sitting upstairs, realized that Pierre would smash the girl to smithereens. This person is one of the few who belongs to the imperial faction, but is also in good standing with the aristocrats. He knows well that a woman will never destroy his image. Although the Countess knew that the boy was sometimes impulsive, she did not expect such cunning. He is ideal as a partner. When he comes back, the young man carries with him several glasses that stand on a tray. He apologizes for being late. The hero brought cool water, warm and with ice. The lady chooses a warm one so as not to get sick and to be in service when needed. The blonde man says he has dealt with Miss Alt's case. It seemed to him that his friend didn't like that girl, and it seems he was right. The guy is trying to show pity. He turned on the scolded child mode in the literal sense. For some reason, the heroine did not expect such behavior. Because of the always angry Derek, the lady now finds this kind of cute. She is grateful, but the man promises to make her only happier from now on. Very soon Lilia will be holding a tea party, so the young man promises to send an invitation. The lady agrees to come. The blonde is overly happy, even if it's just a normal answer. He overacts, but it doesn't matter so much anymore. In this case, the hero leaves his girlfriend alone so that she can rest a little and then meet with other acquaintances. Pierre was so happy that he didn't even think that they could see him. He showed his true emotions, which were not hidden. Usually the lady does not accept such invitations, but now she is happy about this, even if it is held every year. This is all because there is Sylvian, eager to see his friend. Suddenly, the lady realizes that she sees her own back, which is standing on the balcony. After a moment, she realizes that she and Derek have switched bodies again. Irene does not understand what is happening. The curse was lifted a long time ago, but for some reason now everything has changed once again. There is nothing connecting them anymore. The plan for the removal was perfect. The maiden did not make a single mistake, even if everything remained just as strange that it all happened when they were not even sleeping. Perhaps everything has changed so that it is now reversed. The lady no longer understands what to do in such a situation, so she panics. The Marquis of Chevreul remains on the sidelines because the prince runs away. He stops on the balcony, asking why everything happened again after it was over. The Countess herself must ask what happened, but none of them understands. The hero asks not to use his voice, which speaks nonsense. In this case, the girl can be as rude as usual, because there will be nothing bad about it. She can think about anything without a second thought. The couple abruptly turns away from each other so as not to get on each other's nerves even more. They can no longer stand what is happening. It would be a mistake to lose even more time, but it's also not worth telling the young man about everything that's happening, otherwise it will only get worse. What she can't get out of her head is that the night with Derek was a little different from what was described in the original. In the novel, the man spent the night with Lilia, but they did nothing of the sort. She is confused about whether everything is true if nothing happened. On the first night with the guy, their bodies and minds were far from what they described in the book. It is unclear what exactly has changed, much less how. It cannot be that the problem lies only in how exactly they spent that very night together. That means the problem is Frederick. Apparently, the exchange took place after touching. The lady can't help but wonder what to do next, so she grabs the man's hand. After resistance, the hero again grabs his palm, but after a second, he seems to be thrown back, and his hand is shaking. This can't be true, because they didn't even do anything like that, but in the end, Derek's body reacted so strongly. Not understanding anything, the prince asks what was the point of doing all this when most likely there is no time for it and there is no point. They finally switched back. The lady doesn't know how to switch bodies, so she just grabbed her hand out of worry. Now she asks what they did to her. The last time they exchanged bodies after the night, but then the only option left was that the young man slept with some other woman. The lady just sat with Sylvian, but didn't do anything like that. So most likely the one who did everything was the heir, but he denies. The guy asks you to believe and remember those very strange words on her coming of age when he said that all she needed was her body. The hero has already repeatedly said that he has not slept with anyone and does not even intend to, because there is no sense or logic in this. The lady remembers exactly what she was told then, but still she is not even going to believe what was said, leaving her questions in her head. Those words were hurtful, but judging by how Derek's body reacts at such a moment, he's still not lying. It's still a little hard to believe. Perhaps the fault of everything that happened was not that they slept with someone, which means there was another reason. Nothing was mentioned in the book, so the beauty doesn't know. The Marquise of Cherville is somewhere nearby, so you can't stand and openly discuss matters. Tomorrow night, the prince makes an appointment at the Blue Castle. This place is a huge and most luxurious hotel in the capital. Some rooms are designed for 2 people, so this is an ideal place for negotiations. If the couple wants, you can always do more than just talk. It will be necessary to look at the situation that develops. Now the girl had to understand that everything that happens and changes their lives began with that night that they spent together. If there is no other way, then perhaps they need to get back together, at least for a while, to change what is happening. Looking down at his hands, the hero once again notices the fact that they are too small, but cute. The man still remembers the moment when they exchanged bodies. The hero tries to act like a friend. This has happened before, so this time it promises to be much easier than before. If the man is with Irene one more time, then there will be an opportunity to fill in the gaps of that day. The reason that the girl stopped caring was because she remained unsatisfied. The Countess drank tea for men's health for a whole month until they exchanged bodies again. It's all too obvious. If that's not the case, then a man and a woman can't be strangers after a night together. Perhaps the lady thought that there would be a wedding ceremony after that time. One Black Wolf Knight told His Majesty that according to many novels, he should be assertive right away the first time. Everything turned out this way because the young man then listened to that man. We had to try to go at our own pace. Lucky that they changed again, and in order to change everything, now they will have to spend one more night together. This time, the hero simply has to fix everything. He is ready to serve her and please her, but all that remains is to wait until the evening. Everything should go exactly like this, but so far the young man does not know what obstacles may arise on the way there. Eve, noticing that the lady is lost in thought, asks if she is admiring herself again. She was worried, but her skin was clear, so everything was fine. If the lady is so worried about something of a different nature, you can call Mr. Killian. He wants to discuss something from last time. A memory of that boy comes to mind. This is the gem store employee whom the prince met when he came to see Irene. Although Chandler is the one who influences the elite, it is strange that the workers come straight to her. Hades must have a special relationship with his mistress if things are going this way. If he notices strange behavior in Irene and finds out about the exchange, it will be very bad. In any case, you can accept the stones and say goodbye. Nodding his head, the prince asks Eve to let the guest into the hall. Immediately after the blonde walks in, he asks why his little sister was staring at him like that. It seems they still have a special level. The man's gray eyes are proof that he is a child of an enemy state and their empire. Looks like he has wizard blood in him. If that guy has magic and can use it, then we can understand why Irene was acting so strange. It turns out that the woman has her own assistant, and perhaps they tried to steal the young man's body together. If so, he must know something about the plan. Sitting down on the sofa, the beauty says that she just took one look and not openly showered herself on the hero all this time without stopping. Smiling, the hero omits any edits because he does not want to try to negotiate. He came because the Archduke was acting strange. It's strange that a servant would talk about something like that in the presence of a lady who shouldn't have anything to do with it. As soon as the reception ended, Kadion immediately sent his man to the Elson kingdom. The matter needs to be investigated to find out the intentions. Finding out more will be quite problematic. The lady asks why they report to her so late. Exhaling, the blonde asks not to treat him and not speak in such a tone, since he himself was very tired while running there from the 3rd Street. If the guy's hideout is there, then he will definitely be able to find out Irene's plan from him without any delays. Lowering his head into the girl's lap, the boy begins to say that he worked hard, so he asks to stroke and kiss. The man cannot believe that Chandler always behaves this way with this brat, and does not know what kind of relationship they have. The prince cannot believe that his beloved touched someone other than him and called him good names. It feels like something is burning inside. Frowning, the girl asks Mr. Killian to leave if he finished everything on time. The hero gets up and puts his bag back on. He thinks so too, because he doesn't dare take up the precious time of his sister, who is out of sorts. Evening came almost imperceptibly. Arriving at the Palace Hotel, the prince hands over a card, which they immediately recognized and promised to take to a special room. The girl arrived safely, but the problem is that she still did not understand how to return the body back and what was happening. Walking past one of the flights, the lady winces. She couldn't expect anything less from a loving place. If Derek couldn't find anything either, they'll spend time together again. The servant points his hand towards the room of the future emperor. There's really nothing wrong with this. To some extent, the heroine hopes that they will be together again. The girl is too worried about how she was last night, while the boy is going to save them, trying to invest his soul. The first thing the lady asks His Majesty is whether anything suspicious has happened at the Duke's estate. If the lady honestly says what she did, everything will be resolved faster. She has already said several times that she did nothing. A man can sleep with any other girl, not necessarily Irene, in order for everything to return to normal. After they touched each other, everything finally returned to its normal place. It turned out that there was no point in trying to stand close. Leaning closer, the young man asks why she suddenly got the idea that he slept with someone else when it was completely untrue. His Majesty hears the same answer to the fact that the maiden has no idea what we are talking about. He turns away in disappointment. No matter how much the couple talks, there is still no solution to understand how this happened in the first place. I would like to know more. They have been standing next to each other for 2 hours, but nothing has changed. There is no other way out, so we still have to spend one night together again. The man asks what exactly the lady wants from him, but she remains silent. If she doesn't need anything, then he will be the one who will say everything for both of them. When they are together, the young man asks to call him by his name, not even his full name, but an abbreviated one to make it more pleasant. Lowering his hand lower to his stomach, the hero asks to be there when he wakes up. It is not clear what His Majesty is thinking about, but he will have to do it. To exchange bodies back, it is very important that everything is respected. If the young man finds something else to say, the heroine will listen to him and do everything. Nothing more is needed, therefore, not intending to endure any longer. The man covers the lady with a kiss on the lips. Derek touches very gently, not at all like before, so it's hard to understand what exactly he's thinking about. The lady asks him to stop, but he is too carried away. The hero was not at all embarrassed that he forgot about the pills. They've almost moved on to the main part without the protection they need. There is no need to worry because you can avoid pregnancy only by taking the medicine. He asks the girl to open her mouth. It was all over in a few hours. It was midnight, so both fell asleep almost immediately from the fatigue that came over them. The man again asked if the lady wanted to become a crown princess. Even if they get married, you can postpone the birth of an heir to enjoy the moment. The young man even said something embarrassing about another man, when the lady closed her eyes so that she could only think about him. Perhaps when the lady wakes up, she will agree to get married, and then everything will change. Nobody can say what will happen next. Irene is too beautiful. Red hair will suit a wedding veil and a wonderful white dress, which they will prepare together. The hair is soft and reminiscent of the same puppy that the baby hugged when he was little. He was that best friend. The dog was the only creature that helped him forget life in an enemy country and the days when he was a hostage. The animal's eyes shone like pearls, and its body was soft and warm. When the boy hugged him and touched his ears, he promised that he would protect him. Derek promised that as soon as he became stronger, he would make sure that the baby was safe and would not worry. But a day later, he died in the guy's arms. Opening her eyes, the heroine rubs her face, asking His Majesty why he woke up so early. She doesn't understand what's happening at all. The voice is too sleepy, but this makes the young man smile a little in realization. The guy understands that his face is not visible, so he can be honest. Looking at the lady, he says that she looks like a dog. Trying to contain the anger that suddenly began to boil inside, the beauty herself wonders what he's talking about. Once upon a time, a guy had a dog that looked like someone he knew. That dog... Apparently, the man loves the dog too much, since he started talking about the story. Once upon a time, the Marquis of Cherville gave a new friend to a boy. The baby's name was Waldo. He was the only one who was captured with Derek. This animal is very dear to the guy, and when she died, he suffered terribly. As Crown Prince, the hero was always accompanied by nobles. His parents could not cope with the pressure and sent him to an enemy country. That dog was a little creature that Liefridge loved very much. When Waldo died, the sensual Crown Prince died with him. Smiling, the girl says that the name is very beautiful and cute. She should support the man so that he does not close himself off. The Virgin was angry when she just woke up and heard that they saw her as a dog, but she was sad to think about the guy's past, so she agreed. The hero recalls how, on the night of his first birthday in Elson, the baby jumped on the table and ate all his soup, which turned out to be poison. It is scary to go to the enemy empire at the request of your parents. He is very strong because he survived everything. Even the prince's dear dog died from the poison, which was intended for the young man himself on his birthday. The girl feels sorry for Waldo, but the man turns away, saying that it was the dog's fault for not being able to protect himself on his own. The point is not what was wrong with the baby, but that he thought that the owner was worth giving his life for him. It was Derek who raised the dog, so he was always ready to take risks for the sake of the one who was dearest to him than anyone else in the world. Waldo was with the future emperor all the time, so for him the man meant the whole world. He realized that he needed to protect the owner. Several minutes pass, ending completely in silence. It seems the young man is not going to say anything. The lady goes to get some sleep before she gets worse. The man still thinks about what happened, because he thought that seeing his weak side, the lady would laugh, but everything is not so. Every time, remembering that very moment, the hero cannot control himself, as if someone had discovered something forbidden, something that could not be touched. Opening her eyes, the heroine stretches, but immediately notices the empty side of the bed, because Derek seems to have disappeared somewhere. The prince made last night so wonderful that there are no words left. Virgo knows that she hurt. She has already fallen asleep in other places, so there will be no questions if she comes late. Going out for breakfast, the lady freezes because the heir is sitting there. He did his best and brought enough food, which turned out to be too much. We can say that the girl is picky, because she grew up as a lady in the count's house. The crown prince can afford everything on the menu. The young man asks to try the food. He talks as if he's mocking, although in reality his behavior is not the worst. The Virgin is about to try the pancakes, but notices how the hero gets up from the table with a knife in his hand. He was about to leave, but instead he went to the table and began cutting meat for the beauty. She should stay healthy. The red-haired girl is too weak, and this is what worried the young man not for the first time when he found himself in her body. The way the guy behaves seems unnatural. He only cares about exchanging bodies, but now he does everything he didn't do before. The couple glares at each other, so the heroine finally wonders. She takes a bite of meat from the fork she used to spear the food. The Countess liked the food here. This is noticeable by the way she behaves, and even more so because she herself confirmed it. The chef of the Imperial Palace has been working at this hotel for 20 years. This is a subtle hint that it is worth becoming a crown princess. The lady refuses once again. Last night was so wonderful that she is ready for anything, but she can't just say yes. Irenia is not going to marry someone who was just with her and satisfied her. It's enough for a guy that she admits that he was good. In order not to continue the squabble, the hero hands over a box, which contains shoes and a dress of a size that fits. After some time, the heroine still reacts, saying that everything suits her, and thanks for the gift that was given to her. After the transformation, the beauty appeared in the hall, but judging by the expression on the young man's face, something was missing. A necklace with a royal symbol would be perfect for a girl, but it would completely cover the entire neck for others. The man was going to call a carriage, but he was not allowed. The girl drove away, but after a while she stopped on the riverside bridge. Approaching one of the servants, Miss names a secret year for a meeting with the underground organization. She's too young to be there. This person seems to be new. He believes that it would be better if the heroine's father came and replaced her in front of the others. Coming out from behind, Killian asks for forgiveness for what happened. He just came to the service so far, so he doesn't know much. The other servant also asks for forgiveness. He didn't know that the lady was the boss's hostess and had to greet him personally rather than behave properly. To make sure this doesn't happen again, the old man will teach the staff a lesson. Sigmund is the second most senior member of the secret intelligence organization Cerberus. Hades trusts him. He was originally the leader of the criminals, but now he is not at all intimidating. Asking the old man to leave, the guy says that they will talk in private. Killian knows that the girl trusts him the most. This time, she also wanted to share the innermost secret that she had kept all this time. The lady would like to know if the young man accidentally put something in the herbs. This is also incredibly important. If he had done anything, he would have died immediately, as he was very loyal. The basis of trust in Hades is a magical vow on one's own heart, which was proposed by a man a very long time ago. The boy is an orphan, but he is the heir to the blood of the guardian of the tower and decided to give his life to Irene. In such a situation, the lady can only trust him. If the problem is not in the tea, then perhaps in her own body. The maiden told everything, so the one who called him Mr. Killian was the crown prince. Chandler acted strangely that day, but no one expected it to be His Highness. The curse most likely changed because that day the heroine did not sleep with a man. In this case, she could not return to her body. Hitting his head on the sofa, the boy complains that that bastard had the opportunity to sleep with the lady twice. For the sake of his sister, the boy promises that he will break the curse so that she simply does not suffer and does not continue to live as before. Asking what else is known about the magic cast, the heroine hears that with the help of herbs you can change the appearance. Various herbs grow in Elson, but those that are needed are also sold in Soto in small quantities. Brewed tea is commonly used for headaches and stress as it helps reduce these factors to a minimum. Perhaps someone was trying to use the herb to change the course of events, and it could very well be Archduke Cadion. Obviously, the lady was mistaken, because a few days later a statement arrived with her name on it. If this is true, then that person does not want to kill Derek or Irene herself and is not aiming for the throne. It became more clear. Running to her brother in the library, the lady shows a piece of paper asking if he knows a plant called mandola. The one who gave the herbs was Cedric. He smiles, saying that he added it to tea not long ago to help. They drank tea together before the beauty left for Rebos Island. The lady was so worried that the brother added what he needed to relieve stress. As the imperial doctor said, you can't just stand by and watch your sister suffer from stress, so the hero tried to help. No longer holding back, the red-haired girl bursts into bitter tears. She tried so hard to break Derek's curse. No matter how many times the lady stopped Cedric from becoming the Emperor's doctor, he did not do it because he was going to become one for the sake of his weak sister. In order to have a special body to break the curse, the girl drank poison every day without the boy's knowledge. That is why the heroine becomes weaker every day, but does not want anyone to know about her pain day after day. Now Chandler has changed everything, and so the lady's whole life plan simply collapsed like a house of cards. Ain delivered Sylvian to the estate. He wonders where his brother is, but everyone knows that he likes to spend time in the library. There is no point in worrying about Cedric, since Pierre arrived at the estate only to convey an invitation to a tea party. This is true. The hero was not going to do anything other than talk with his friend. He had been waiting for this for some time. The brother is sitting on the floor next to his sister. She continues to cry, but he still doesn't know what to do next to help. One thought comes to mind about how exactly you can please Irene. The hero returns back quite quickly. Holding out his beloved teddy bear, the young man smiles. The girl had not seen him for a very long time. The brother gave this baby when the girl was only 10 years old. She really loved him and valued him as a true friend. Irene would like to behave differently, but she cannot, so grabbing the bear, she forcefully tears the toy. There is absolutely no time for things. The precious memory is simply gone, so the lady throws it back to her brother. Getting up from the floor, the lady says she is leaving. She doesn't feel very good, especially since she's not going to be in the company of other people. Virgo needs to think things through, but as soon as she sees Cedric, she starts to get angry. The curse changed without anyone knowing because of that tea with Mandola. There is a high probability that they can switch bodies again without even sleeping together. Each time like this, you need to spend the night again and again. It's better not to tell Derek about this. If he pays attention, he will soon understand why his body was needed. An answer must be come up with to answer the question of how we know about the curse. I don't want to see his face. Irene worked hard, but no matter how much she suffered, now it will all be over, and there is no turning back. It would have been much better if my brother had not done this, but turning back time is unrealistic. Now nothing will work. At the most opportune moment, the man picks up the beauty in his arms. He carries her forward, saying that his sister has a fever. If everything is that bad, the young man is obliged to carry the lady to the room. If anyone sees, everyone will just think that the brother and sister have a good relationship. The servants behaved exactly like this, saying that they have been behaving this way since an early age, despite the kind of relationship they have. If Irene wants to sleep, it is better to go to the room. The young man will bring an antipyretic to make the lady feel much better. My sister must be scared and feeling bad, but she will definitely get help and cure the pain that is affecting her from all sides. As expected, Irene is unable to defeat her brother. She can't be angry with him because he always did his best to please her. At this very moment, Aine enters the hall along with Sylvian, who freeze with surprised expressions on their faces. The girl asks Pierre for forgiveness for having to see such a strange scene, and almost immediately leaves. Turning to his friend, the blonde asks her to stay a little because he has something to convey. His Majesty ordered the lady to come to the palace. All this happened even more at the wrong time than Pierre's arrival. Derek also even gave me some kind of gift. The woman only hopes that it is not a necklace with the sign of the Emperor. This turned out to be not what the beauty thought, because in the end the box contained red earrings and a pendant. The Virgin promised the Emperor that she would come to dinner in 2 weeks, and now the time has come to fulfill the request. Asking to convey to His Majesty that she will, the heroine sends the messenger far away from her estate. The brothers leave, or rather, Aine takes Cedric away so that he does not interfere. Asking Sylvian's forgiveness once again, the lady reminded him of something important that they had to convey. The hero came to convey an invitation to Lilia's tea party, but it seems that her friend is too busy to come. They won't force her to go anywhere so that she doesn't get upset, so there's no point in even handing over the envelope. It seems that Pierre seriously thinks that since his friend received an invitation to the palace, she will immediately refuse the tea party. Virgo is busy, but since everything has already turned out this way, the blonde asks to forgive him the impudence that he is showing. There were still hopes that Irene would go with the young man to the event she promised to attend. The girl doesn't look like a person who doesn't keep her word. She already promised that she would come, so nothing will happen if this happens. The estate of Duke Cadion, near the capital, is in complete darkness. A lady with dark hair curses the countess. The lady had heard that Irene had given up on the crown prince, so the archduchess couldn't wait to see her weak side. As a result, the woman not only did not show modesty but also held the hand of the second valuable man of the elite, Pierre Sylvian. Such an attack is understandable, but Liefridge constantly looked at her with a loving gaze. He is very stupid, since he fell for the girl's love game. Moreover, the man alone hastily ran to the balcony after the lady went there at the end of the dancing. I wonder what they were doing behind closed curtains, but if things continue like this, they will have a child. The Emperor does not care at all about the gender of the heir. Since there is a child, he or she will certainly become a member of the family and become a ruler. The woman comes into the room, telling her husband that she is going to resort to the classic action to deal with Irene. The Knight of the Black Wolf and the Marquis of Cherville want to meet with His Majesty. Both are already waiting. The couple first sees the sleeping prince, and around him there is a whole bunch of petals. The man asks why there was such a mess. The young man does not want to answer. The servant believes that he will become a wise emperor and will take care of others, if that is the meaning of his experiences. Others only see what they want to see, so we can only hope that the hero will appear in a good light for his reputation. Because of the plans of the aristocrats, I had to live in an enemy country for a long time. The man wanted to cut off the heads of those aristocrats for a long time. Those gathered cannot leave the young man even for a minute, even if he passionately desires it. Nothing comes of it even with time. The story about fortune-telling and plucking petals began with the words of the person who sent the invitation. He said the lady was crying. Irene decided that she would agree to go to Sylvian's tea party almost immediately afterwards. The hero cannot understand what he did wrong that night. Maybe she's upset because Derek ruined that big event. That day, the hero said that his friend looked like a dog, and also that she was cute and you wanted to pet her. If you think about it, there was no smile after those words. His Majesty plucked all the flowers, but still ended up saying that everything was his fault. He didn't sleep a wink all night. Allegro reminded me of one piece of information about Elson in the morning. There's something to watch out for in the near future. As it became known, the Archduke helped a foreigner get into their country, and it was a secret. The information is still being clarified and verified. Preparations for the tea party are in full swing. Mom enters the room to hurry the lady up, but freezes when she sees her daughter's beauty. The baby is wearing makeup and an outfit that is just perfect for her. The Countess also looks simply wonderful. Dispatching the maids, the lady asks if the girl is interested in becoming the crown princess. She just lost interest. In her heart, the heroine is happy because she would like to see a loving and respectful man next to Chandler. Finding a sister in Lilia is not so bad. The daughter herself knows that Sylvian, although kind by nature, is narrow-minded. Virgo really likes Pierre's appearance. No one in the world would speak ill of his appearance. The Chandler family has plenty of money and honor, so the Countess simply asks to be happy in the future and not to doubt anything. From her mother's words, the girl's chest tightened more than usual. Views and thoughts changed dramatically in just a second. Since the day Cedric confirmed that the curse had changed due to the herbs he had, the heroine had become extremely busy. First, through Killian, the lady figured out the formula for the curse and the fact that Derek and his body will change in the future even more than they already are. The fact that the curse has already changed, and now you can return to your body without even spending the night with the prince, is already very comforting. The fact that the hero develops neuralgia is also not bad. The first thing that came to mind was to make sure that his brother left his post in the Imperial Palace. Even if he leaves the service, if illnesses are detected, the Emperor will convene all talented doctors. In this case, Cedric will boil those very herbs, knowing that they are poisonous. The sister said not to do this, but knowing him, he would definitely do this to save people. There is only one way left, and that is to stand in opposition to Archduke Cadion. To remove the curse, you will have to convince the magicians hired by the man, or even threaten them. They will contact their main one, so conflict with the young man can be considered. Although the fact that the curse cannot be lifted at once makes things a little more difficult, the lady knows who the enemy is, and therefore there is a chance of victory. She will be happy. We have already managed to think of several ways to intimidate the Duke, and all that remains is to wait for his first move. They had almost arrived at the Sylvians. The lady looks out the window where the maid shows her and notices the Archduke's carriage, which is his favorite for special occasions. All supporters of the Emperors gather at the tea party, not only the ruling one, but also all the other contenders. Lily goes out onto the balcony in surprise. She does not believe that the Archduchess has actually arrived, even if the invitation was sent out of politeness. Now the lady remembers how that lady asked to show her the estate. but it is not clear what exactly she forgot at the tea party after everything. The girl better watch her expressions so that no one hears. Mrs. Irene has not yet arrived, and the brother is already pretending to be virtuous. Every time a lady says that, she gets goosebumps. The prince doesn't even understand why his sister is called a saint when she behaves like this. No one knows that there is only one reason why both of them created such a pure and meek image in public. They both lust after only Irene Chandler. After the announcement of her arrival, the couple lights up with the joy of what they are anticipating. On the first day that Lilia came out into the world, she returned with words about her mistress and asked if she was beautiful and amazing to her. From that day on, my sister began to maintain an unprecedented and elegant image. She seemed favorable enough to be around Irene. The girl even dyed the hair of the goddess and queen in the book red, because she was fascinated. It shows that there is no way back. Even so, the lady is not as crazy as Pierre. On this day they have their last chance because the lady has finally forgotten the prince. A man must take the initiative. You won't have to do too much, but it's quite possible to express yourself and try to flirt. Considering that the maiden was breathing unevenly towards the prince, she has a taste for brutal men. While Pierre left to get ready, the beauty decided to escort the guest to the table. Thanks to the lady apologizes for saying that. Lily would be much happier if someone called her by name. In this case, the girl can also be addressed by her name. You shouldn't treat him as coldly as you did a little earlier all the time. The conversation is interrupted by the most hated person, Kadian. She hasn't seen the lady since the emperor's birthday, so she asks how things are going. Feeling uncomfortable, the lady thanks him for visiting the garden and then wonders who the lady behind the duchess is who is silent. This is Balian Kadian, a distant relative of her husband. She takes off her hat to show everyone else her beautiful smile and shiny hair. Irene chuckles. The girl must feel in danger because of the beauty of such a wonderful woman nearby. Balian, whom the heroine knows, is the distinguished youngest daughter of the head of the magic tower, Istra. She is the half-older sister of Hades. The magicians who placed the curse on Derek belong to the Istra Tower, and no one knows for sure that the lady knows this information. In the original work, the woman found Killian's illegitimate child abandoned by his father and took sides with him in order to try to separate Lilia from Latsfrej, taking on the role of a villain. Like those who inherited even a little blood from the tower, Balian also had innate magical powers, but even so she could not demonstrate them. Balian succeeded in nothing, because the head of the tower, suffering from illness, bequeathed everything to his son, Balak. Having no supporters in the tower, the girl was left without a father who was in an almost vegetative state and without property. Seeing his sister's interest in the position of head, Balak deliberately did not give her a chance. He had connections with the aristocrats of the empire, including the Elsin kingdom. Perhaps the blonde arrived because her brother instigated her teaming up with Kadian. Now it's clear why the Duke is connected so closely with magicians. Balian, who lost to Balak, comes to the capital to become Derek's lover and enemy, but this is not too different from the original. If the crown prince fell under the lady's spell and made her his wife, it would be a blow. I would like to avoid this as quickly as possible. As expected, like the original, the best-case scenario would be for Lilia to become Leifridge's new love. The girl looks at Irene with hope. She believes that such a girl is not her rival, regardless of the fact that she is destined to be with Pierre. It's a shame for the Emperor's supporters that Chandler is no longer clinging to the future king. At that time, they seemed quite peaceful. The girl has no intention of becoming the prince's partner, so she can ignore everything. One can only hope that the lady's stay will go well. After these words, the lady leaves. Until last month, she acted as if she would die if the crown prince did not look at her, but now she has changed so much. She has no way of knowing that Balian is the daughter of the head of the Mage Tower. If Kadian were in the beauty's place, she would understand everything. The heroine hopes that the heir has the insight of His Majesty. You can't even say anything else. The lady looks like Her Majesty the Empress. Of course, their marriage was arranged for love, and they are on good terms, but still. Although it will sound sarcastic in such a situation, it is impossible for His Highness to lose interest in Irene because of just her appearance. As the Archduchess was right, perhaps a significant event awaits the Empire soon. They started the argument first, so Chandler is not going to give up. She asks about the Duchess's son. As you know, Kadeon has a son left over from a previous marriage, who seems to have been forgotten. The couple left the baby somewhere far away under the pretext of a minor illness. It's strange that the lady mentioned this to her face. The ladies leave the garden, going to drink tea. The Duchess tries to contain her anger as she asks for everything to go as smoothly as possible. One way or another, this is the only way Balian can survive. Lady Irene is quite charming, so one thing is clear: the prince has grown up since he was able to resist. The youngest son of the Empire also arrived at the tea party, although it seems that they did not expect to meet him at all. The girls immediately bow their heads. The Archduchess is asked on what business she has arrived, but she wants to ask the same thing. She wanted to drink tea in pleasant company. At the same time, the heroine wants to introduce someone. She brings the blonde forward, calling her name and saying that she is a relative of her husband. Virgo is too beautiful, and if that's enough, the game is worth trying. The man, on the contrary, stared at the lady's face. To leave the young man upset, the girls plan to leave early. Balian will remain at the Duke's mansion for some time, so you can visit her. The brunette frowns because he doesn't understand why he should look at them. Lately, too much time has been wasted. The woman somewhat resembles Hades. The color of the hair and eyes is different, but the similarity in their facial features can be seen. The aura seems poisonous. Addressing the servant, the hero asks to find out more about what was already known. Now the assignment is connected with the lady they met. I would like to know everything about the girl's family, as well as where she comes from and everything else, so that it is better understood in detail. Turning around, Irene asks Lilia where Pierre is, who is not visible. He used to often attend tea parties. The boy is relaxing in the room or improving his martial art in the arena of the mansion. It is difficult to reach a conclusion. The girls go on a search together. When Lily heard that her friend was coming, she wanted to plant red roses like the lady's hair. Be that as it may, the garden can be changed at the request of the owners, so it will be right to enjoy a walk. The one they have been looking for a long time comes out of the building. He undid 3 buttons and doesn't know if it's normal to appear like this. Lily runs to her brother to hug him. She heard that His Majesty the Crown Prince had arrived, although he should not have arrived. Derek will probably be looking for a blonde, so for now Sylvian can go for a walk and try to seduce Irene. Leaving the young man, the lady asks for forgiveness because she has some urgent matters. She will leave the couple, but Pierre will give a good tour. The guy extends his elbow to show the girl that they can go further, while smiling. While the man was showing the garden, the heroine discovered in her friend several new character traits that were unfamiliar to her. His shirt was unbuttoned, so every step showed off his muscles. The innocent look and great body go well together and confuse you. Pierre is someone who knows how to flirt. While they were looking at the fountain, a drop of water fell on him, so the young man wiped his face with his shirt. In front of Chandler, muscles were exposed that did not match his snow-white skin, but looked so beautiful. This man is the most eligible bachelor in the capital and is the prudent and kind son of a count. He can't behave like that in front of every person he meets. I can't believe that a man is trying to seduce a lady with his body and behavior, which sometimes goes beyond all limits. This is all due to the fact that the knowledge gained for the sake of spending the night with Derek made the beauty dirty. Thoughts rush forward. As a child, when the baby first saw Irene, he froze. The brothers standing around said that their little sister was the cutest in the world. The young man greeted the girl, saying that their families had been friends with each other for generations. He promised to protect his girlfriend with all his might. To keep his word, he, forgetting about sleep and food, trained day and night. Over time, the man became a knight and continued the family's work, and then formed a wonderful image. Now the blonde stands, not understanding what he did. I wanted the girl to see a real man in him, and that's why everything turned out this way. Seeing the lady's reaction, the hero could not stop. I want her to call him by name and want his hair to hang over his face like wisteria flowers. In fact, Pierre wants his wet body to be dried. Then he would pretend to be ticklish and, laughing, hug and kiss his beloved. The girl feels awkward standing in silence. She heard that there is a flower bed with hyacinths at the bottom of the garden, so the lady asks to show it closer. The water underfoot played a cruel joke. Stepping forward, the beauty slipped and fell straight into the hero's arms. The heart beats with all its might until the beauty understands what happened. This could even be dangerous. Opening her eyes, the girl wants to scream because she is in Derek's body and is watching the couple from behind the wall. Lilia, coming around the corner, says that she will no longer help. She said earlier that she helped because she wanted Irene to gain strength and be happy. The girl no longer thinks about His Highness, so it is obvious that she is no longer interested in a family union, choosing Pierre. The blonde's opinion will not change, even if the man says that he has come a long way for the sake of the slums he ended up in. Perhaps Liferidge enlisted the help of the lady to put Chandler in the place of the Empress, but now she does not want to help. This means that the guy arrived at the estate to get help. This is unlikely to be a coincidence, so the man asks Lilia about the necklace that was previously known. The man wants to escape, but cannot get out of his hands. He doesn't know what to do next, but he sees a blonde man centimeters from his face, reaching for his lips. The hero asks about the pendant that he previously offered to his friend, but which she refused. This will be a leading question against the backdrop of a very recently seen scene in the garden. Lily can tell the whole truth. As the girl said earlier, the lady does not wear the thing because it is not to her taste and looks strange. The point is not that the girl is unhappy that His Highness made a custom order for her sake, but that they would not be a suitable match. It's really a pity, but the lady can't help because the man even went through training and preparation, but nothing worked. The girl cannot believe what she heard. The necklace that the lady accepted was not given away like a useless trinket. It wasn't because Lily rejected the gift. In fact, everything is completely different from what it seems. It turned out that the thing was made with care especially for the future Empress. The man chose it himself. It is not surprising that the young man was worried that the lady was not wearing that jewelry. If he had spoken about it, it would never have gotten to Eve. If the man had not turned to Lily for help, there would have been no useless misunderstandings that completely ruined everything. I can't believe that the young man wanted to like the gift so much that he even asked someone else for advice. The girl points to the couple, sighing about how wonderful they look. The man was just thinking about how to send Sylvian away, and then they switched places. The man has a disgusting expression on his face, but on top of all this, the woman's heart is beating as if it's about to jump out. Irene seems to be enjoying the situation. The man wants to close his eyes, but if he does, he will allow himself to be kissed, so he refuses to accept reality. The prince interrupts the couple at the most opportune moment. He already thought that he would have to allow himself to be kissed, but it seems that salvation has arrived. It turns out that the couple switched again without any warning. The contact of bare skin temporarily returned the bodies. When the young man returned to his body, he realized that the beauty's heart beat so fast because Sylvian was in front of her. I can't believe that Pierre's seduction actually worked. If everything had remained as it was, the lady could have even kissed the boy, but she was stopped. Trying to get through, the young man says that the man is a selfish person, trying to use others for his own interests. His Highness suddenly spoke about it. Everyone knows what's on that rogue's mind because he wouldn't just wipe his face with his shirt. In order not to go into unnecessary lyrics, the girl asks to discuss how they will get back their bodies, which have changed. As soon as the touching of bodies was completed, they returned to each other's bodies, which was not even strange. The guy's heart is beating fast and his head is buzzing. There are butterflies in the stomach, as if there is a commotion inside. He seems to be thinking about the night they spent together. The hero called Sylvian dirty, but he himself is no better, so grabbing his hand, the lady is about to return to her body. It turns out that they ended up in their places without warning or reason, but if nothing is done, then they will not be able to return back. We'll have to wait a whole week. The lady cannot remember that day because she does not know whether Derek will want to spend another night with her. If the heroine says that she won't wait because she hates someone she knows, she will return home and cry again. Everything was so good then. But for some reason, now everything has changed. The lady still doesn't like what Derek said, but she doesn't hate him. The guy doesn't care about the fact that others don't like him. It seems that he's even gotten used to it, or maybe it's in his nature to see only enemies around. The heroine is really sorry that she gave that necklace to Eve, so she will try with all her might to resolve the misunderstanding. The girl does not feel hostility, and that night was also not bad, except for what they told her about her resemblance to a dog. It looks like a curse, but the prince meant that he wanted to caress. Waldo is a small dog, and it was not in my thoughts to say anything bad. Even so, the lady still finds it offensive when people say that about her, even if she is compared to a cute animal. Perhaps he is glad that he conveyed to my lady that he meant something completely different, but his pulse quickens and quickens. In any case, everything is in order, so there is no point in tormenting yourself with remorse. Chandler would be glad if they treated her more politely. It turns out that Derek's eyes are free from irritation and hostility, and are actually such a beautiful deep blue color. Only 2 days have passed since Liferidge accepted the challenge of living in other people's bodies for 2 whole days. Having occupied it, the maiden led an ordinary life without difficulty. Sometimes the lady worried about what would happen if they did not return to their bodies. If nothing changes before dinner, only the last option will remain. The heroine would never use this as an excuse, because the nights spent with Derek were delightful. The man wanted to know how the fake Chandler was doing, and at that very moment the servant handed over a letter from Mrs. Irene. The young man says that his stomach and lower back hurt. This has never happened before, so this only raises more questions. If the entire description is true, then Derek has started having these days. Everything fell into place quite quickly. The servant asks about the opportunity to finish the report. The thought that the man had these days unsettled the lady. As they said earlier, on the Emperor's side are some of the high-ranking aristocrats of the Elson royal family. It turns out that Derek is spying on the royal family, and although this is obvious, the lady did not think that he would dare to send a spy. Judging by Allegro's report, the man is going to advance the Black Wolf army, thereby creating a situation that will shake Elson. The plan was detailed, like the character of the young man. It gives me goosebumps to think that the tip of the sword could have been pointed at Chandler. Very soon it will become known what connects the tower and the kingdom. In general terms, it's clear what's on the man's mind right away. He wishes to sever the connection between those two and then break them one by one. The idea is not complicated, but it is not easy to place the puppets on both sides. The hero sharpened his blade against those who took his childhood away from him. They now move on to the order given to Delet a few days ago. Lady Balin has a deep connection with the Mage Tower. They were accompanied by magicians, so it was difficult to gather information. It turns out that an investigation has already begun about the lady. A report will be ready soon on the man Killian, who lives on Triple Street. It is worth investigating this matter further, but we can already say that he is from the top leadership of the guild. The prince digs under these two. If this goes on, the young man will find out that Irene herself is behind Hades. Derek is too much trouble. Looking at her reflection, the lady sighs languidly. Even at its peak, it looks stunningly great. The garden in the Crown Prince's palace, into which the young man goes for a walk every lunch, has a subtle beauty. Perhaps this is how the girl is influenced by the tastes of the owner of the body, but she has never seen anything so amazing before. The scent of roses drives a man crazy. Inhaling it, the heart begins to beat faster. Chandler's letter paper smells the same. In the distance, the hero notices Balin, who stands near one of the roses and carefully sniffs it to inhale the aroma. Cadion appeared behind him, saying that although the girl was related to him, she was quite attractive. If such an elegant woman becomes the wife of a ruler in the future, the people will surely be proud. Taking her mind off the Duke, the maiden turns her gaze to the dress. The corset emphasizes every curve of the body to the limit, but the person who wears it will find it uncomfortable to move and breathe. Men don't care about this, so the guy next to him continues to praise the girl. If the lady had not lost to her brother's tricks, she would have become a magician. Derek can spend one night in bed with this beauty if he wants. The Archduke talks about how wonderful her hair is at night, but they cut him off. The interlocutor should be ashamed of the things that he continues to say. A person is not a thing that can be disposed of. Going further, the brunette wants to quickly get rid of such company, restraining himself so as not to hit, but the lady catches up with him. The greeting is late, but she says hello anyway. If according to the original, she is not the one who cast the spell, no one will understand whose soul is in the body. Virgo offers to go sit together in the garden. The lady wanted to refuse, but she has a weakness for handsome men and beauties. His Highness said that if the girl walked in the garden, she would meet the prince. And that's how it all happened. The girl tried very hard to dress as elegantly as possible in order to become more beautiful, but it seems that she overdid it. Irene thinks it suits her very well, but she won't say it out loud. Balin is attractive even in Chandler's eyes, but then it is not clear why the man does not have any reaction. Asking to turn around, the hero unbuttons his dress. She is beautiful in any form, but you should not endure such inconveniences in order to please another person. Getting up from his seat, the brunette says that he is not going to untie it further, so he asks to tie the corset not so tightly. If it had been Derek, he would have driven the lady away, but first he pretended to be seduced. Virgo doesn't know whether to talk about this. The mistress has had female pain before, but this time everything is much worse than before and it immediately becomes noticeable. The hero heard about this from his female combat comrades, but did not expect that everything would be so bad. Sitting and lying down are uncomfortable, so you have to change your position every few minutes. Feels like there is a hole below the waist. The lady borrowed painkillers from Cedric, but nothing helped. The lady's body feels heavy, as if her organs were damaged by poison. Irene is the greatest treasure of the Chandler family, so it is unlikely that she could have been poisoned. If there had been such a big commotion in the mansion, it would have become known immediately, but there were no rumors. When they started the last time, the man didn't even understand it because the body was in good condition, but this time, the feelings are different. It's unclear what Irene is up to, or how Killian is involved. When the man returns to his body, he is obliged to send the girl medicine. That day, the beauty said that she did not feel hatred, and this made her heart tremble with joy. Things have changed since the time when she didn't love a man, so she won't reject a new gift like she did the necklace. Although the guy is in pain, it makes it easier that the girl doesn't have to go through all this. Eve brought a book that the gentleman reads every time she has these days, and when she feels bad to such an extent that nothing helps. Accepting the little thing, the girl thanks, while asking herself the question in her head about what kind of such an important book this is. The lady is glad that Irene has finally come to her senses and can sit normally. She was a little worried when she met the prince at the count's mansion. It all sounds like the girl was agitated every time she met a guy and came home to complain. There is no point in being angry with the maid for now, because she is saying the truth. The brunette says that Derek is too rude. From the outside, it looks like nothing is finished yet. The lady never managed to forget His Highness as quickly as she would have liked. The lady does not hate him, but in an instant she cannot understand what is going on in her soul. The maid would like Leifridge to be more gentle. The father, mother, and brothers are concerned about how the man behaves, so they try to set the girl up with Pierre, who is the best option. When everyone sees how a lady suffers, you want to give her the best. The man knew that his behavior was not the best, but he was not going to correct it, because he behaved as he was used to. Father and mother will love the prince even more if he becomes a little better. So far, His Majesty is losing the battle to Sylvian. Regarding the young man's appearance, everything is completely different. You can understand why half of everything is done in relation to my lady. Sweet speeches and flowers are enough to start, but for a young man, it will be difficult. The Virgin, without suspecting it, gave a hint, and since her condition has improved, it's worth starting to read the book. Opening the pages, the brunette freezes. The lady holds such obscenity in her hands and does not even feel guilty. Human joints and stretching are hardly capable of what is depicted on the pages. Closing it, the heroine asks to take it away. If the lady is getting ready to sleep, then the book will go to the place where it was brought from a few minutes ago. Judging by the handwriting, Irene made the item herself. It would be a shame if anyone found something like this, but it is kept in a room where other people can get into it. The girl would never take a thoughtless risk. This stuff is kept outside because there is a secret room that only Chandler Jr. uses. When they first switched bodies, there was not a single clue left. If the lady goes there, she might find out the girl's whole plan that she is hiding. Not even a minute has passed since Eve left, but the book is already gone. She hid it in a secret place in such a short time. The heroine promises herself to look somewhere nearby while the maid warms up the heating pad. The area was imprinted on the young man's head from the last time. Apparently, only one room will fit all the parameters that will be described, the second door to the left of Irene. Due to the simple design, the young man thought that there was a room for servants, but everything turned out to be completely different. Come to think of it, the man had never seen anyone enter there, so he confidently opened the door, expecting to reveal all the secrets. There is nothing special inside, because at first glance it looks like a junk warehouse. It's worth looking more carefully. Something creaked underfoot, as if there was a secret vault there that was hidden more securely. The elder brother's scream is heard from the corridor. He came to check on his sister, but she was not in bed, despite her condition. If people think the girl is suspicious, there will be problems. The hero pretended to go out to get some fresh air, but as soon as Cedric leaves, he plans to return back. Getting up, the lady feels a familiar feeling that covers her body. It is clear that an exchange will take place. Smiling, Irene says that she went to get some air. Derek seemed to make it, so they switched again. Perhaps one of the couple did something unusual. Finally, everything returned to normal, just in time for Chandler herself. If things get bad, the lady will call her brother back. Eve says that the lady was on the walk for about 15-20 minutes. Irenia left as the maid went to warm up the hot water bottle after returning from the secret office on the left. The maid does not know that she and the prince are switching bodies, and only Killian knows about it. The personal account is filled from top to bottom with the fruits of efforts to remove Derek's spell. If Eve accidentally let a man there, then he would know everything, and if he asks how the girl knows about this, she will have nothing to answer. When they changed deliberately, the lady made sure that he did not leave the room, but if they changed irregularly, then there would be no way to change anything. I didn't even have enough strength to go out to the office, let alone take a walk, so in any case, it was best to lie in bed. Eve did not take the young man to the office, but even if he saw the secret devices for the first time, at least he could cope with one or two. Next time this may not work, so the lady hopes for luck. She asks to contact the shoe store she usually goes to. The girl would like to return to the lady the necklace that His Highness gave her. The pendant appeared in the hands of the maid. It turned out that the brunette was not selling the trinket because it was a gift from the prince, which really means a lot. The lady carried the thing with her just in case, so when she saw the girl's condition, she decided that it was worth returning it. Irene misses His Majesty, so the gift will help calm her down a little. The red-haired girl has no idea what Derek told the maid. All this time, the heroine felt a little guilty for getting rid of the gift that was chosen for her. Now the girl sees that the color of the stone is the same as her eyes, and the quality of the work is excellent. If you sell it, you can afford 2 mansions in the capital. Derek must really be worried because the lady isn't wearing the item. He has already created a lot of beliefs in his head. The shoemaker arrived and thanks him for being approached, even this time. A familiar old man follows him. Leaning toward Eve, the girl asks to go to a secret warehouse and put all the documents there to hide them from prying eyes. Meeting Killian's eyes, the lady laughs, because it must be hard to disguise yourself every time to get to the place. The servant wants to ask something, but the head turns him to face the wall and casts a silencing spell so that he and Irenia can chat. The man proceeds to measure his leg while they discuss how bored he is and how much it pains him instead of making him happy. The young man heard that knee-high boots will be fashionable in the fall, so he extends his hand higher to his knee. The boy believes that such shoes will look perfect on a lady who fits absolutely everything she tries on. The girl chuckles and then talks about a centimeter that she can use to measure the circumference of her neck, as if it were a hidden threat. It's better not to see each other for a while because the curse has changed. The prince digs under Killian, and even more so can control the army of the Black Wolf. All that remains is to wait for the day when the couple will see each other again. The man recalls how he was asked to find ways to remove the curse from His Majesty. The girl immediately lights up with the idea, because at this stage, this is the most important thing. It turns out that one way out was found. The young man found a way to remove the spell without the one who cast it in the first place. This shows Irene's interest. The lady cannot believe that something exists that she does not know about. This is not the first year she has been involved in this matter. The girl begs to tell everything in detail. This can save both lives from getting mixed up on a daily basis. A cursed person can die, and if the person is not there, then the spell that was cast on him is not there. It's all too simple. Grabbing Hades' cheeks, the girl reproaches him for deciding to joke at such a crucial moment. In fact, the hero would be glad if the prince died, but he is still a tough nut to crack. One day it will happen, but not soon. If the heroine waited for the moment when everything was over, she would not even try to do anything reckless. She still wants to understand what this method is. The dragon sword is what will really help in their situation. That's all the servant says. His Highness can use the awakened dragon sword, and then he will be lucky to remove the curse that the tea could not lift. Hades is still joking because even though Derek has awakened the weapon, he cannot fully use it. Even children know about this. This thing is a legendary sword, created in ancient times by a dragon who received magical power from the gods. To create it, the animal tore out its ribs. The sword appeared in response to the will of the crown prince, who was a hostage. His mere appearance caused a storm, but the weapon was so stuck that the hero was unable to get it out of the ground. The young man became the subject of ridicule among the aristocracy. As an heir who only had excuses, the thing became nothing but horror. In a sense, there were some advantages. Magic belongs entirely to the dragon, so its awakening means that Liefridge is the chosen one. After awakening the sword, the magicians from the tower could not directly attack the man because they did not have the right to attack the one who awakened that very power. There is no way to get him, and even so, it is important for the lady to know what Killian is going to do with him. If you do everything according to the instructions, you can remove the curse. Now the couple is head and shoulders above the magicians. His Highness cannot use the sword, so the lady continues to object. If this were possible, the prince would have fulfilled his duty long ago, but for now there are no options left. Still, a little easier than finding the Archduke's magician is to try a different plan. Killian's words are not without meaning, because the first option is unrealistic. To get a weapon, you need to put aside the fear of death and be ready for it. It is easy to say what kind of person would make such a decision. The girl repeatedly heard the aristocrats laughing. After being a hostage for so many years, the man was still shaking for his life, which was strange for them. Judging by how the young man regrets his life, he still knows that he is the crown prince. Contrary to how it looks, it is actually quite strange, since the sword has its own pride. The maiden did not understand the reason why the prince did not meet the conditions for awakening the dragon sword. It is better to put off the idea of this task for now, because they are not able to do it. Rumors have already begun to circulate that the son of the head of the tower is laying claim to that very weapon. Balak is quite annoying, and his remarks make everyone else cringe. The lady chuckles because it's Killian's older brother. If a man becomes the head, then there will probably be a war against the Empire again, and he will use magic. It's better not to let this happen. The Empire also uses magical things, but those associated with military force are strictly prohibited. The country will one day have to turn to magic and the tower because Elson begins to develop more and more. Eve brought documents on the history of the imperial costume, as the lady requested. She needs to study everything in detail. The girl thinks that these are papers with clothes, but in fact there is a study about Derek's curse. Handing the box to the man, the girl asks to look at the last shoes because this will help in doing the work. After the lady has handed over everything she needs to Hades, you can finish everything and rest a little before proceeding to phase number 2. A few days later, the day came when the girl dined with the Empress. Derek said that if anything happens, it can be endured if the pain remains in the body. The mother asks her daughter to spend a little time with her father upon her return, because he is upset that they haven't seen each other much lately. The Count is busy with work, but he will be able to devote some time to him in any case. The woman wishes for an excellent road to the palace. The castle garden is still wonderful, just like the weather itself, which makes you enjoy such a pleasant day. The lady arrived earlier than she thought, so she plans to walk a little to the meeting place instead of driving there. At the most inopportune moment, the lady meets Pierre. She does not immediately understand how the boy ended up in this area. It is clear from the young man's sickly appearance that he is not feeling well. He asks for forgiveness for being rude last time. Apparently, we are talking about that very incident at the fountain. The red-haired girl assures that everything is fine, because it was her own fault that she tripped. Sylvian is relieved because now there are no misunderstandings. I can't believe he couldn't sleep because of what happened. To keep the magicians under control, every year in the Empire, the children of important aristocrats gather in a country house and carry out a suppression. Young boys and girls get together. The father confessed his love to his mother in that very place because she was a real flower of society. Interrupting the flow of his interlocutor's thoughts, the hero asks if she would like to go with him. A man is planning to invite a lady on a summer hunt for a magical beast that is already being talked about. In fact, there is nothing special in the fact that an aristocrat invites the maiden, his beloved, to participate in the hunt. She and Pierre have been in a close relationship for a long time. He wants the heroine to go together not to sleep in the same bed, but because there is no point in it. For the sake of the ladies, young men in their prime will even go to catch a magical monster, boasting of their strength. They all do this to attract the opposite sex. The girl doesn't care about the lack of a mate or about being caught. It would be comfortable if they go with their family, because going with a guy will cause a lot of hassle. Still, when the vague realization came that Pierre sees a woman in his friend, she can no longer simply accept his proposal. First, you need to figure out how he and Derek change bodies, and then we can talk about everything else. The girl does not dislike Pierre. She had already thought several times that marrying him and spending the last years of her life with him was not a bad idea. I would like the rest of the time to be completely calm, as it should have been from the beginning. Like Lily, a person's appearance and inner world are slightly different, but this does not greatly affect how he behaves. Before Irene begins to see him as a man, she wants to start treating him with trepidation, because she has known him for a long time. Already starting to say her speech, which arose in her head, the lady freezes as she sees Derek nearby, who is frowning. The man just squeezes himself in the middle, as if nothing had happened, in order to share the cute couple with each other as quickly as possible. Bowing, the lady greets the youngest luminary of the Empire. Without answering anything, the young man notices that his friend arrived early. Previously, the heroine was having a great time talking with Sylvian, but they were interrupted. The gentleman came only for the views, for a walk. The place is a bit far from where the prince usually goes. He's dressed up like a parrot, although he can't stand uncomfortable clothes. The young man seems more than happy to be back in his body. In this case, they will see each other a little later. If they don't start moving forward slowly, they'll be late. The girl leaves in a carriage, leaving them on their own. Before this, the hero asks if Sylvian is going to participate in the magical hunt. This year, His Majesty also intended to participate, because no one knows whether this will be the last time or not. The girl heard that the Emperor was going to abdicate the throne soon. Chances are good that this is the last year that the Crown Prince can leave the Imperial Palace. You can tell by the blonde's face that he is dissatisfied with the fact that the young man will participate in the hunt. The hero smiles, saying that this is impossible. His Majesty's presence with them will definitely give the others a lot more strength. The two of them talk uneasily, but for some reason the beauty's spirit drops. She is trying to slowly go into the distance. The girl is stopped almost immediately. The prince wants to know who exactly Irene will go with to the event, and everyone wants her to make a choice. It would be more correct to go with Derek, so that if something happens he will be nearby. But Pierre stands with tears in his eyes, as if he is about to crumble. The young man was the first to ask, and if the lady went with His Majesty, it would be too much. Perhaps the best option would be to go with your brothers. They will all go together, so there is nothing wrong with choosing later. Until this is done, the blonde leaves. The couple heads back to the palace as it is almost time for the scheduled reception. It's easier for the girl only because she can postpone her answer at least for some time. There is no pressure on her, and this is the most important thing. Stopping, the prince asks why he was not chosen. He knows that Irene no longer follows him around, but the problem is different. Liefridge isn't sure if the girl could handle it if she had to go with someone else as a partner and they switched bodies. Let's hope nothing happens. The lady is thinking about going with her brothers if that is possible, of course. Cedric and Ain will be busy on the day of the hunt. It looks like His Majesty is going to keep the guys busy. There is a lot to do in the palace, but the hero behaves too rudely. There is not even evidence that they switch bodies due to the girl's fault. Redhead doesn't even understand why they went along the road without any carriage, just to take a walk together. The young man stops and points to the roses around him. This place is the secret garden of the Imperial Palace, which is difficult to discover. For a man, Irene is like a flower that he picked from a tree. Opening his palm, the young man shows the petals that have scattered. The brunette miscalculated his strength a little, so he hesitated. For the interlocutor, on the contrary, this is a new type of threat that she is considering. Obviously, if the heroine goes with Pierre, he won't just leave it, and will decide to take more brutal measures before doing anything. The man wanted to say that the beauty looks like a rose, but now she stands without a mood, lowering her head down. Smiling, the girl points to the necklace. This is the same one that was given a few days ago. It seemed that the jewelry matched the outfit that the beauty had chosen for the tea party, so she decided that it was worth wearing it. The girl thanks him for the wonderful gift, but for some reason the young man simply turns away, refusing to look, like a lady, at some unpleasant sight that he is being forced to see. There is little time left, so the hero suggests going for a little walk before he has to go back. The lady is comfortable not having to talk to the prince just to seduce him. She feels extremely calm. Stopping, the brunette asks about the beauty's women's health. He hopes that everything is in perfect order. It seems that the hero is no longer going to ask any more questions, so he simply falls silent, turning away. Virgo remembers the letter in which she wrote about Balin. Lyfridge can't believe his body was touched by someone else's hands. The Archduke was nearby, so she was discreet and adhered to etiquette. They go to a deserted place to talk. The girl secretly touched His Majesty's body, so Irene untied her corset, which embarrassed her, and then asked her to leave and not bother her with her company. In the eyes of the beauty, obviously the young man is such a scoundrel that he behaves like this. He often told Chandler to get lost. The man may not even notice that he is saying something like that, which is quite offensive despite the fact that it is not meant. Virgo was interested in the reaction, so she behaved that way. She apologizes for what Balin said, what has already been said. Asking the lady to look at him, the boy asks if he started touching another woman when he still had feelings for her. Although the man stroked the girl's body every night, he would not do this to every person he met. He's a decent enough person. Smiling lightly, the red-haired woman asks for forgiveness, but he is already leaving, asking not to make him into someone immoral. According to Derek, it is clear that he is worried about his chastity, which remains unpreserved. The man looks like he will live his whole life in chaos. It is no longer possible to hold back from this, so the beauty begins to laugh. Not understanding what's funny, the hero assumes that chastity is not important. The lady grew up surrounded by beauty, so she abandoned such thoughts a long time ago. A person can sleep with everyone because he is not an animal with ordinary instincts that can be controlled. The couple arrived at the castle, where they were already led by servants to the dining room, which is still empty, waiting for the owners to arrive. The Empress and Emperor arrived just in time. They apologize for being late, which was almost not even noticeable. Bowing her head, the lady salutes the sun and moon of the empire. She hopes the couple weren't in too much of a hurry because of the guests. Her Majesty looks much better than at the last banquet, but the lady still doesn't know if everything is fine. The lady clings to her husband, smiling. She seems cheerful, so the last doubts are also cast aside. During dinner, the heroine felt strange. Everyone around is trying to start a conversation with her, and especially Derek, who does just that. Perhaps the young man is keeping up appearances because his lover is nearby, or he is simply not talking to his family. The red-haired girl understands that she should try to defuse the situation. On the way there, His Majesty showed the garden, which also included roses. Those flowers are truly wonderful. When the guy's parents just got married, His Majesty himself dropped them off when he found out about the pregnancy. The prince did not know about this, but even if you think about it, as a child, he spent picnics there, which helped him relax a little. The emperor is also trying to reconstruct in his head the chain of events that happened then. Because that very day the baby was stung by a bee sitting on the bushes, he screamed that he never wanted to see roses again. It's good that my son fell in love with flowers again, which are really worth attention. The king was also stung by a bee once, but only while he was eating a honey dessert. The empress notices the necklace and compliments it. This is a gift from Liferidge, which makes the situation easier, because the lady was a little worried that they were not on good terms. Her Majesty would like them to maintain good relations in the future, which will help their son get on his feet. The woman promises that she will be waiting for them in her palace at any moment. Her hands begin to shake as she says this, and her eyes dart restlessly from side to side. The next moment, the lady loses consciousness and quickly flies to the floor along with the chair on which she was sitting. The king and son crowded around the beauty, who still remained unconscious. It seems that her condition has not improved at all, but on the contrary. It turns out that Her Majesty fainted due to a chronic illness, and not due to poisoning or external factors. Fortunately, her breathing has stabilized, but she will need rest for a while. The body needs to fully recover. It will be difficult for Frederick, but he promises himself that he will be able to overcome everything, even if it is difficult. Irene is sent back to her place. It's evening and quite late, so the logical decision would be to do just that. If the hero is going to let his girlfriend go, it is best not to show her how worried he is about his mother, with whom trouble happened. The young man did not talk to her during dinner, but now that an unforeseen situation has occurred, he obviously regrets that he did not talk to his mother earlier. Even so, the queen loves her son very much, and therefore it would not be a bad idea to ask the two of them to talk when everything gets better. After reading The Cursed Emperor, the future of the family is already known. Their Majesties abdicated the throne in favor of Derek and moved to a remote city. The man ascended the throne and never visited his mother and father again. Separated family members yearn for each other all their lives, but no one can take the first step. The heroine is not going to do anything to reconcile the family, but perhaps it is worth giving a little hint. Only Irene knows the reason why the young man failed to awaken the dragon. It was written in the book. The boy could not sacrifice his life. He desperately wanted to live after everything that happened to him in Elsen as a hostage. All the time the hero wanted to return to his homeland and again fall into the arms of his mother and father who would accept him. During his boring, hell-like life in another country, Derek longed for the times when he was with his parents. Even so, Liferidge hasn't made the first move because he's afraid of being abandoned again. Addressing His Highness, the beauty asks if he knows about flowers called verbena. He only knows roses. This plant is lush and beautiful. It grows only in spring, but in the palace greenhouses it can be seen even now. It seems that Her Majesty will be staying in the chamber for a long time, so during this time it would be possible to find flowers and give them to the lady. The brunette raises his eyebrow because he doesn't understand whether this is something that's really worth doing for his mother as a sign of reconciliation. The queen's hobby is floriculture, so she will understand the meaning on her own. Saying goodbye, the heroine wishes the girl good health. Before letting her acquaintance go back to the estate, Liferidge asks why she told him about that very plant. This is like a response to the rose that the prince recently picked as a sign of sympathy. You can think about this a little later. A woman sits on her bed and watches the crimson dawn, which beautifully falls across the entire sky, like a blanket. Every time the lady sees something red, she is haunted by thoughts of how Frederick was thrown into an even darker, bloodier place. Then another state set a condition. In order to achieve peace, everyone had to ensure that His Highness ended up in the country of Elsen. After handing over their son, the couple was required to swear that they would not use the Imperial Guard, which was resistant to magic. That decision was inevitable in order to save people's lives, but then the family regretted what they did. Fortunately, Frederick returned alive, but everything had changed so much that he was no longer recognizable. The lady abandoned the baby, and now nothing will ever be the same. The son will not be able to forgive his mother for the way she acted, although to some extent he understands everything. Derek sits down next to him, placing his hands on his mother's shoulder, who is shaking with tears. She immediately asks how long her son has been there. He had only recently returned and came specifically to visit the sick woman. It was impossible to leave a loved one without attention. A woman notices beautiful flowers standing in a vase on the table. They are called verbena, so the heroine immediately recognizes them from thousands. In the language of flowers, this beautiful plant means family harmony. The girl begins to cry again, thanking her son for bringing the plant to her immediately. The mother's hands are warm, so the young man doesn't even want to leave, taking his palm, which was closed. He is surrounded by care. Irenia suggested what exactly needs to be brought. As her mother expected, she is a very caring and beautiful young lady. It would be good if she wanted to become an empress. If the man had shown the maiden the imperial garden a little earlier, when she was hovering around him, something would have definitely changed. Now all that remains is to complain about the fate that the hero himself ruined. If only he knew how to be more kind and not forget a woman's feelings. The blonde notices how her son hesitates, punishing himself. She asks if it's true that he only thinks about that lady because everything is visible right on his face. Cedric came to meet Chandler. They only see each other on Mondays now, and he looks pretty exhausted. Fortunately, Her Majesty's condition has improved, but we still need to return back to her castle. First of all, my brother wants to get some sleep. The young man was completely unstuck due to the heavy load. As the son of the Prime Minister, he will sooner or later take his place, and then there will be even more things to do. The girl can't do anything about it because the man incredibly loves his job, where he lives. Instead, the lady can only act behind his back. She met up with Hades again, who had found a new level of disguise. The heroine has only recently arrived, so she asks for forgiveness for accidentally disturbing her. To apologize, she must disturb the young man more often. The blonde, as usual, climbs forward, saying that he is really looking forward to the moment when everything happens. He can't stop joking about it. When the hero made such a face in childhood, he looked quite cute, but now it is unclear whether something has changed so radically. After ruffling the boy's hair, the lady assures him that he is still as cute as usual. Nothing has changed. Taking out from his pocket the map that the servants obtained for him, the head of the guild points his finger at some area. This is the very place where the son of the Archduke and his ex-wife is hidden. They sent him there without even expecting to see him again. Killian does not understand why the gentleman so suddenly asked to find out about this person, if in fact this is not the most important thing in her situation. Virgo must know Cadion's weak points. Rumors have begun to spread about the Empress's deteriorating health, so the aristocrats must be very busy. Derek was unable to get rid of the curse in the original, and suffering from pain, ascended to the throne. The Emperor's family found itself in an extremely dangerous situation. Perhaps his subordinates abandoned the young king himself because he became a tyrant. They later rebelled against the man along with Cadion. No one was able to wait until he destroyed the country. Elson's soldiers and magicians came through the lands of Viscount Alt. Huge funds were received from Prince Adele. Now that there is talk of Derek taking the throne, the aristocrats may begin to hatch a plan for rebellion. You should take the first step while they figure something out. The man was digging under Balin and the Archduke, so he had better share his plans and get help in time. The right moment to cut off the higher ones from their sources of income came after the summer hunt for a magical beast. Until this point, you need to talk to a friend, and it is advisable to also find the Duke's weak point. Irene asked to find out about Cadion's son, because she needed to know in advance whether the boy could be used to her advantage. The hero learned everything he needed, but almost fell asleep from boredom. The kid is surrounded by many magicians, and it seems that he himself is not in his right mind. Even though Killian is the abandoned illegitimate child of the head of the tower, he is still his son, so ordinary magicians will not interfere with him. Hades did his best, so the lady says that she will be forever grateful to him. When words are spoken, they mean something. Getting up from her seat, the heroine says that they can get down to business. She believes that there is no need to waste time. The boy needs to breathe. Just now he madly wanted to kiss that person who should not be touched. The area where Cadion's son is located is in the countryside. The baby is still visited and his name is Ed. When looking at him, no one would think that this man was a real descendant of the Duke. The man probably doesn't consider the boy a human being. The lady doesn't know too much, but she is sure that the guy was sent somewhere in the mountains just to please his second wife. If this is so, it will be possible to prove that there are some problems. In addition to everything that Hades conveyed, he also learned that the hero had mocked him earlier. He used force to force people to do what they needed to do. It's not like strangers would raise their hands against the young man. The servant is more than sure that the Duke sent his subordinates to do the dirty work. All this happened quite often before, and to this day, this is no secret to those involved in this. The man's new wife has not yet been able to give birth to a child, so she often causes scandals over another son from a previous marriage, as she is afraid that their relationship will collapse. To prove to the woman that his intentions remain the same, the young man sends his people to Ed, and they do their job. Virgo does not know the boy personally, but she is scared to think about what happens to him almost every day and in what conditions he lives. I immediately remember those very words when the lady mentioned the boy to the two girls at the tea party. Perhaps on that very day, the boy also suffered what was done to him after the woman came running to complain to her husband. Irene can't believe what she did. The young man carefully asks if she would like to visit the baby. When Killian talked to Ed, he said that he wanted to thank the heroine for completely annoying his parents. If it is dangerous, they will return immediately. In any case, Hades would not drag the lady to a place where she would be harmed. Standing in the middle of a shiny circle of magic on the floor, the couple is transported. The girl is waiting to meet the guy to help in any way she can. The young man no longer had the strength to fight. He is truly exhausted and lies unconscious after another surprise. The couple cast a concealment spell on themselves. Finally, the magic worked, and they found themselves in a dark, even creepy place from which they wanted to escape. The girl cannot believe that Ed really lives in this house. The walls are shaking, and the crows around are eating each other. This is the Duke's own son, and the place looks strange even to visit. According to the official version, the man sent the boy to warmer climes to improve his health. With weak security, Mashas are occasionally present near the estate, tasked with protecting the exit. The girl is afraid that they won't be able to get inside. Killian reassures, saying that he has prepared everything because they will not stand outside. Managing magical power so that the ground under your feet does not disappear is quite a delicate job. Even so, there are no unnecessary touches. The hero does not need to go too far just to demonstrate his hidden talents. The man easily jumps onto the third-floor window. They are in place, exactly where they are holding Ed, who is suffering so much. The couple is in Cadion's room. It's too dark and scary inside because the bare walls around you don't look welcoming. The lady turns from side to side to understand what is happening and where next they should go to meet. The only thing you can notice is the smell of antiseptics and dampness that spreads throughout the room. Irene freezes when she sees a man in the distance. The first thing you notice is the leg, which is bandaged so that no fluid oozes out. The boy gets up from the floor, trying to find the strength to do it, and asks who came. At the same second, Hades removes the concealment spell. The lady kneels down, gently placing her hand on the guy's cheek. He's had a lot of trouble over the past few years. It's hard for the young man to speak, but still, finding strength, he asks if they have come to take him away from this terrible place. The blonde doesn't see anything, judging by the strange way his eyes dart from side to side. He can't concentrate. If the girl wasn't going to kill his stepmother and father, then it would be better for her to take the baby with her to safety. It's crazy because Ed really wants revenge. He looks like he's crazy, but other people did this to him, not himself. Now the lady began to understand why Hades offered to see this man. Everything fell into place quite quickly. The condition is simply terrible. The leg is broken, and judging by the fact that one of them is shorter, the hero was disabled from birth. Going lower, the man passes his hand past the boy's face, but it becomes clear that the eyes still don't see, because there is no reaction. Obviously, the beauty is the social butterfly who angered the good father and mother. The girl nods, asking if she was the reason for the beating. A couple doesn't need a reason to hit a guy, so there's no point in taking the blame. Killian asks to be more respectful of the lady who has come such a long way. The girl most likely came because she also needed something. There is no need for her to take the young man if she just wants to see him. The expressions are not appropriate for a child. It is not clear why the Archduke treats his son this way. Chandler wonders if his friend can cure the boy in secret from his parents. It would be good if the mercenaries didn't know anything either. You can try, but she herself doesn't know where to start. You can use magic to make the boy look beaten up but actually be fine if that helps. The blonde can't believe that people just believe him and take his side, even though he is the son of a man who does absurd things. It would be much easier to use the young man in his current state, and in this he is indeed right. If the faction wants to expose the Duke's relationship with his son, everything should be left as it is, but it is impossible to understand what is right, because a person chooses his own path. Several days passed. Hades treated Ed well, although he wasn't particularly happy about it. All that remains is to cut off the aristocrats from their sources of income and continue to carry out the hunt perfectly. In June, there will be a difficult competition for the aristocrats. The training center created by His Majesty to identify talents who will work with Derek is already ready. The Countess enters the room and hands over the documents that Ain left. They relate to the event. The girl asks to leave it to her. Nobody knows if anything interesting will come out of this, but it's still worth a try. Sitting on a horse, the lady feels alive again. It's really nice to ride a horse after so much time. Irene is grateful to her father for buying her a pony as a child. Thanks to this, from childhood she was able to learn horse riding. Even at a time when the little girl did not have a horse, she stubbornly trained on her brothers or the Count. Mrs. Chandler arrived at the prince's palace. They haven't seen each other for quite some time, and she is immediately greeted by a servant. Saying that she came to express words of support to her brother, the maiden hears the Marquis's question about His Majesty and their meeting. Now the Countess is confused, so she tries to escape. Surely Cherville is busy, so it's better to move on. In fact, the young man gave the order to comb through the palace in search of the missing documents that Chandler had acquired. Ain had to honestly say that he forgot his papers at home. Saying goodbye to the man, the lady promises that they will see each other again soon. Getting his things back, the guy almost jumps for joy. His sister saved him incredibly. Everything could have been much more successful, but the guy managed to cope with the influx that affected him. His Highness ordered to find the loss. The young man imitates the prince, who looked at him with a menacing look, and says that he almost leaned back from fear. Ain reaches forward to kiss her sister on the cheek for her help. A familiar voice is heard from the side. It turned out to be Pierre, who somehow ended up here instead of his usual estate. He immediately throws a sheet over himself, and the character bursts into color. The lady apologizes because she didn't know that someone was sleeping. This time, Sylvian did not undress on purpose. Leaning closer, the brother asks when his friend flirted with his little sister. There is noise in the room, but a clear voice is heard behind the door, which says that they will now enter Ain's room. Sylvian is not wearing a shirt, and his brother was completely dumbfounded by the voice of the future emperor, so it's not the best option to just open it. The perfectionist Derek simply cannot catch such a sight, but he was almost there, asking about the documents. It seems that the guy is not in a good mood, so he does not even react to the beauty. It will be difficult for him to look away, even if he doesn't want to look. This is how the lady can distract the young man more, so she smiles, saying that they have not seen each other for a very long time. The man turned out to be just as indifferent to people, so he abruptly slammed the door. It was difficult to even smile and say hello. Closing the door behind him, the brunette lowers his head and hides his face, which turned red from the sharp collision nose to nose. The prince definitely did not see his beloved's face up close for a long time, and therefore he was even confused and could not say anything. I can't believe that he himself behaved so strangely because he ran into an acquaintance. You can't just accept reality. The girl stood on her tiptoes and smiled so sweetly for no particular reason. The heir cannot show his emotions so openly. If their faces were a little closer, Derek's gaze would be blurred, and he would not see the flirting Fane who takes off Pierre's shirt. Remembering this picture, the man sharply turns away and closes his eyes. He doesn't want to imagine what happened next. Opening the door again, the boy notices how his friend smooths Sylvian's hair, as if he is the only one with a head. The prince is angry that Pierre is not ready for the meeting, which will be in 2 hours. Ain quietly says that he found the documents, so he will help put his friend in order. A second later, they both disappeared from the room, closing the doors behind them. Nobody wants to fall under the hot hand of a man. The guy offers to go for a walk while they are alone. Of course, Irene agrees, wondering if she should mention Countess Adele. Balin is looking for a meeting with Derek again. She saw him heading into the garden, so she hopes everything will work out. Peering out from the bushes, the blonde is focused on the man of her dreams. She shouldn't miss her chance. The brunette walks a little forward. He would like to walk next to her, but then he would be staring right in her face like a fool. His Highness believes that the weather is fine, but thunder rumbles in the distance. Virgo knows that the meeting is somewhere nearby, but the boy has prepared everything in advance. To hide his anticipation, the young man tenses his facial muscles, showing with all his might that he doesn't care. Looking down, the lady tries to speak but hesitates. She seems to want to say something bad. The prince is ready to share the burden. Still, realizing that she can't wait any longer, the lady says that she would like to make friends with Countess Adele. She talks about her plans in case they suddenly switch bodies again. This woman gave birth to the actor, and everyone knows about it. Although she belongs to the aristocratic class, she is close to the middle class of people, which is why it happened this way. The reason why the Countess belongs to the aristocrats is because of her brothers. She is also said to have excellent business acumen. She is a very passionate person, so she gave birth to a child with a regular actor. The man is trying to understand why the girl needs such an acquaintance. Perhaps the only reason is to make friends with some handsome actor. Playing to the crowd, the lady says that if the opportunity comes, she will be glad. His Majesty almost fell, but he was just lucky that his body could withstand any vile news. The girl joked, and after that the man seemed to bloom again. In this case, I would like to know why this friendship with someone unknown is needed at all. The girl was interested in her ability to do business, because women who have achieved success in this are rare. I can't believe that an acquaintance is trying to fool the heir himself like this. He still asks what methods will be used. The lady just gave birth to a baby, so you can try it immediately after the summer hunt, which will be very soon. When the heroine returns, the rainy season will begin. That is why the heroine is thinking of spending a couple of days at the estate of Countess Adele under the pretext that the wheel of the cart fell off and fell into the mud. If they suddenly switch bodies, the prince is obliged to help achieve the goal. If you are courteous to a woman, there may be a reward later. It's strange that the lady would move around in the rain, because she hates it. Last time the beauty said exactly that. Everything has changed, because the lady no longer needs to play to seduce His Highness and gain his precious attention. Balin interrupts the conversation mid-sentence. She smiles, saying that she did not expect to meet the youngest luminary of the empire. Istria has become so bad that they can no longer stand side by side. Of course, she is looking at His Majesty. If there is no more business for the prince, he is going to leave. The blonde doesn't understand why he's so cold to her. Sad colors are visible on the brunette's face. It seems that he is dissatisfied about something, or he simply is not in the mood to talk about what is happening. The lady immediately noticed that last time he did not behave so contemptuously and did not show it so openly. The girl can't believe that everything is happening because of the girl standing next to her. Irene ruins everything on the fly. Even if this is not the case, the heroine is honestly offended, because last time the prince was incredibly gentle, but now something has clearly changed. The Knights of the Black Wolf Army said that she is connected with the Tower of Magicians, and even if not, men do not like her and only get on their nerves. The only thing that looks attractive on this woman is the white shoes she has been wearing lately. These shoes seem to be in fashion because the couple who is talking seems to have matching ones. The shoes look 100 times better on Irene. Balin noticed that the brunette was not even going to look in her direction. Istra does not think that she will be able to give up so easily when a bunch of new opportunities are just opening up for her, which she sees. The girl ran forward so quickly that she did not even answer the Marquis's question about where their ruler was. The young man was also not found in the palace. It was necessary to search a little longer in the garden, because Cherville simply had no other options left. The old man did not look only in the bedroom. It's unlikely that he just went to bed out of the blue, but he still needs to check. There is a white shoe lying near the open door. Whatever one may say, these are very similar to the shoes that Miss Balin wears. The man groans. It seems that His Majesty brought Madame Balin to bed, which cannot but amaze. The lady hopes that the rumor will spread, but this will not happen. That maiden was a trap set by the Archduke. Come to think of it, the future emperor couldn't do this right before the meeting. This has never happened before, so it shouldn't happen again. Hiding the shoe in his pocket, the old man is going to give it to Frederick after the meeting, since there is no point in distracting him before. The girl wants to go back because she is tired of running circles in the palace garden. She had no idea what to do next. There was only an hour left before the meeting. It's worth returning slowly to prepare, even if the prince is able to figure everything out himself. Sighing, the red-haired girl gives up. She doesn't even have anything to object to, because in this case there aren't many options left. That same feeling came over them again a second later, so their bodies began to move again. Both stand in shock, not understanding how this happened. I can't believe what's happening is true. My chest aches and hurts, like when the girl, knowing nothing, drank 5 cups of coffee as a child. Running towards her body, the beauty grabs her hand so that they can turn again, but nothing seems to work. The contact of their heads with their skin temporarily returned them to their bodies. It seems that His Highness did not sleep, because the condition is truly terrible. There is too little time left. If they don't switch back within an hour, Irene will have to conduct the meeting in the prince's place. This will not work, because no matter how hard the lady tries to master Derek's work skills, she will not be able to hold a meeting with officials, for which he has been preparing for 6 months. There will be dozens of people who have seen the guy 100 times already, and even the slightest differences will lead to suspicions that are unnecessary. The only way left to correct the current situation is to return it to normal and try to prevent events. The couple can only sleep again. Leaning into the boy's ear, the girl asks if they can go into the bedroom without anyone noticing. The girl arrived without any witnesses, and Irene entered through the underground basement so that no one would notice her bright hair. No one knew that there was a secret passage in the palace, but it existed in case you had to leave the place urgently. Be that as it may, the young man was quite careful, because there was not a single scratch left on his body after the move. There are about 50 minutes left to fix everything and start all over again. If it doesn't work out, the case is lost. They don't have much time left, so the prince is afraid of what might happen. Picking up the beauty in his arms, he carries her to the wall. They have already agreed to switch places, so there is no point in asking. We urgently need to make sure everything works. Derek asks for his name as he reaches for his neck. You can't leave traces there, otherwise people will spend the whole day wondering who left them. The man wants to know if the lady would think about who left the tracks. He looks quite serious, exactly the way he is determined to do it. The girl is not sure, but she knows that this is like a hassle for the whole day, because people will whisper and crowd around. The woman suddenly became weak. If a guy kisses but doesn't leave anything unnecessary, then everything will be the same as before. Great. It should be about the mood or atmosphere, but not about the problems that they are so actively discussing further. It seems that the girl has something wrong with her mood, or it's just that it's incredible what they're doing to her. My heart is still beating like crazy. After it was all over, nothing changed. Those who were left in their bodies were those for whom it was not intended. They went back for a moment and were holding hands again. Irene asks His Highness why they didn't switch back. This is all due to the fact that the girl cannot calmly think about what is happening. I was left with a lot of strange sensations. Picking up the lady in his arms, the guy sits her on the table. The conditions are the same for both of them, no matter how things go. They both must be satisfied for everything to be completed. So far, Liefridge hasn't gotten his way. It was an excuse to continue further, but of course it worked. The brunette himself cannot believe that this was true. There are only 15 minutes left, but the guy has more important things to do. First, he lays Chandler down on the bed and then kisses her forehead, telling her he needs to leave. The girl is sleepy only because she's lying down, but in reality, she didn't want to stay in someone else's bedroom like that. As soon as everything is over, the prince promises to return back. The man does not want to leave his beloved just like that, but they will talk when she wakes up. The boy seems to regret leaving the lady alone and going away, but if he doesn't do something like that to others, it means he doesn't like it either. It looks like the guy can't stand being alone after spending the night together. It was their first time that made him think that way. That day, the beauty took his body and also for the first time, then simply ran away and left the handsome man completely alone. All this time, Chandler did not feel any guilt for using him because Derek receives more benefits from removing the spell. Now the lady understands that the brunette has feelings for her and she does not want to hurt him. She herself would feel betrayed if she knew it was all part of the plan.